is up, dudes? Sorry, Twitter being all weird. That was very strange. All right, yeah, that was really weird. Hopefully that went through. What is up? Doing my morning coffee hangout at noon. Uh, we're relaxing here. It's been a crazy week. I have a little hangout meeting with Low Res tonight. Hopefully, be able to see the dailies from him from my work on that movie. What is up, Rex Doom? Oh yeah, we can turn the camera on. Excuse the fucking mess in my office. We got the Christmas tree. I don't know which way is the best to go that right now, but got the couches out of here this week. You can see one of my cats in the chair behind me there, just passed out, being fat. Yeah, I got so much stuff that I've just been pulling out of boxes and going through right now. What I'm getting rid of, what I'm going to be able to use for fabricating things, stuff like that. Working out the logistics on doing a mask in house for the Hellseekers launch. So we'll be doing something with that potentially. Hopefully, try and line that up with like Halloween next year and everything, where you'll get it well before Halloween. So if you want to wear it or you have a kid who wants to dress up as them. What's up, Hyper Kaiju, Ashen Jackal? Shoot your shot. Yeah, I knew that was going to come up eventually. It's a little bit broader than that. Definitely be blowing your load, but it's about taking chances creatively and putting yourself out there. It's that the Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Yeah. If you guys follow us over on Instagram, I posted on our story last night. I was just like, calling my shot. We're gonna make a movie with Bonfire Legend, which is the company that used to be Cinestate. They're responsible for Bone Tomahawk, Brawl and Cell Block 99, Dragged Across Concrete, VFW, bunch of other stuff. They had a bunch of controversy because they're a conservative leaning company and got a bunch of bullshit for that. Had a big falling out with Hollywood in general, and they just recently signed a deal with Gina Carano, and the Daily Wire released that Run Hide Fight movie that was actually really solid. And they just finished that Western with Gina Carano and Cowboy Cerrone, who I'm also a huge fan of. So I've been a fan of their stuff for a while. Got in contact with them a while back, and it was kind of like, oh, they didn't seem to take me too seriously, but it's starting to come together now. Sorry, I'm like getting over a cold too, so I probably shouldn't be smoking, but I'm an asshole. Yeah, so we tweeted that out, or they shared it out on our Instagram story, and almost immediately the owner shared it on their Instagram story and then reached out to me in DMs. So we're going to see what happens with that. See if we can't get this weird little horror movie sold and possibly produced, which would be fucking rad. So I've been dealing with that, putting aside a couple hours a day to get some scripting done on this draft of the screenplay. I know originally I said I was going to post it on the Patreon. I'm still going to do that, but I didn't post the first draft because it almost wasn't a draft. It was more like an outline, so it wasn't really making any sense. It wasn't really in order or anything like that. A lot's changed since then. God damn, I look like old and sad today. I promise I'm in a good mood. I'm just getting over being sick. Having a cold makes it want to smoke worse. Yeah, it's real bad. The compulsive shit. But yeah, we're gonna fucking do that John Carpenter thing, boys. I don't know if I'll be directing it. I don't know how involved I will be in it. If we can sell this script, I'd love to be as involved as possible. whether that means directing it or just being part of the production team. I'd obviously love to be building a lot of the prosthetics, but I know they have a great guy for that, Tate Steinsiak, who was on Face Off on a couple of seasons, if you're familiar with that show. Yeah, Hemingway said the first draft of anything is shit. He wasn't wrong. But yeah, it's coming together now. I'm punching in all the details. It's I mean, I'm sure it's going to be longer once I'm finished with it, but it's surprisingly short for a screenplay right now, which is what I was struggling with for a while. But it has all of the information there, so like it'll definitely shoot out into a lot more than it reads as a script. Just knowing from my experience with a comic, I write so much into it. I'm like, oh yeah, this fits in 60 pages, and it ends up going to 80 pages or whatever and being 4 issues. But it's a little bit more fluid and dynamic with film. You can kind of just be like, oh, we need to shoot more coverage for this. There needs to be a scene added here, and that's a lot of what I've been doing in this draft, is like just smoothing out sections, making sure the peaks and valleys hit when they're supposed to, and that it's not just like a constant ratcheting up the tension unless that's what I'm going for in that moment. Really aiming right now for it to be mostly like unknown talent. I would love for it to be like not really any big names. The only real big name I want is Nick Cage for a very specific role. Yeah, the length is always a very stressful thing when writing a screenplay or wearing pants. Yeah. Just like screenplays and pants, the shorter the better. Yeah, no. I'm a very persistent man, so I am not gonna let up on that. Yes, the new Nick Cage movie does look awesome. Was crippling something of fucking overwhelming talent or something. It's got some fucking crazy name that I keep forgetting and mixing up, but it looks great. Yeah, I'm persistent. So if I have to fly out to Texas and just like stand outside their office in the rain like fucking Michael Myers, it'll happen. What up, Hans? Are you at work or are you home? Or wait, do you even work anymore? Do you want me to send you the link? You're still on the hunt, aren't you? Uh, yeah. So if I just have to like, fucking really, I fear that they might fuck up that Nick Cage thing by making it too self-aware. No, and that's why I want to be involved in it. That's the whole thing. Is it rides a fine line where the character I want him for works with him being able to go full-blown Nicolas Cage, but it's kind of like go full-blown Nicolas Cage and then take it 2 steps back, like ground it just the littlest bit. And I also like the idea of basically putting him in like a lot of prosthetics, so you almost can't tell who Nick Cage is until you see the movie. Oh, okay, so you did find new work. Yeah, I'll shoot you the link really quick. Yeah, so they're definitely aware of me now, and they know at least a soft idea of the weird shit I'm sending their way. I'm basically, excuse me for a I'm eventually going to cough up this fucking disgusting phlegm ball, and it's going to be a gnarly moment. We'll see if we catch it live. Uh, so, uh, yeah, they know it's weird, and essentially, I want to wrap up the final draft on the script and everything, and then quickly put together a pitch deck, which I basically have all the information for and everything. That's why I was doing some of the mask work and stuff in downtime. I figured I can include some pictures of that and stuff, just sort of show the vibe I'm going for, and referencing things like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, not like referencing it in the movie, but referencing sort of the production of that and what they were spending for money on that back in the day, the kinds of corners they cut and things they did to save money and make effective scenes without a lot of money. The majority of the mask work and all of that was legitimately just like fiberglass and mask latex, which is like nowadays, like you probably wouldn't use fiberglass, you'd use like burlap or another cloth or something, but it's super cheap to still do shit like that. And if you have a good painter, you have a good design team and everything, you can crank out tons of those for super cheap and do shit like that. Just why the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre is completely unimpressive. They put so much money into it, and it should be a really fucking easy thing, and it's not. If you want to make a Nick Cage movie, I want to make a Nick Cage movie, but it's a telenovela in Spanish, like Will Ferrell did with Casa de Mi Padre. I just butchered that, but yeah, that would be fucking amazing. Or him, I feel like he'd fit great in like a legit Italian giallo, with just like everything ADR. Like even though he speaks like great English, you if it's all in Italian, you just have an Italian actor do all of Nicolas Cage's ADR work. Or just do the classic, like teaching them phonetically how to read the whole script in Italian so that he can perform it himself still, but ADR everything, so it's just fucking horrible, like an old Fulci film. That's why I always loved the New York Ripper. You're like, what the fuck? The whole movie. It's like a kung fu film, but nobody ever starts whooping ass. I think I sent you the link, Hans. Did I send the wrong thing? Oh, okay, I did. Aha! Jeff's wife is being a girl boss, so he can't join us right now. If you cough up any gunk, make sure you get a close up of it. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so I'm trying to wrap that up in between finishing colors on City of Rot and the other first issue of something else. And getting this fucking mess in order. I can finally pack this up soon. That's all the table that I do all the wax pack shit on. Pack that up, get it out of the office, and then this is about to become the fulfillment center for the foreseeable future. Get City of Rot out to everybody, and then I think in the new year we're probably gonna do, the collected edition of Voidwalker first, because I know like me and Christian have been talking about it forever and putting it, like it was supposed to come out a while ago. We posted the cover on the Alterna forums, and it was supposed to come out like a month after that, and just fucking COVID holding everything up, man. We had so many printers either go out of business, tell us they were stopping printing newsprint because they couldn't acquire the paper stock, or they Gerald is really a Jennifer. Yeah, man, both our girlfriends are like or his wife, my girlfriend, are both like total girl bosses. They're in charge. I mean, I work for Beth's family. She's basically my boss. But yeah, dude. Women are the future, Rex. Yeah, man. It's going good though. Script will hopefully be done by Christmas, or I'll probably finish it on Christmas, because tends to be like family comes over, we do dinner and everything, all of them get really sleepy and they leave, and then I have like the house to myself for the entire night, because Beth also tends to black out after a good meal. So I'll be grinding to get that done. And I'm finishing up the finishing touches on adjustments for Hellseekers issue 1 right now. All of that's coming together nicely. basically cut out a bunch of stuff and sped it up. I talked to Pete like 6 months ago, and he essentially was like, you don't want to pad things out. I don't need to do, like, even if it doesn't get picked up by Alterna, it was great advice. Where originally it was by the end of issue 4, almost like the Voidwalker and Can't Kill Cade series. By the end of issue 4, were like cemented in the story and everything. You get what's going on and what the overall arc of the ongoing series is going to be, like the heart of the story. And they're in their classic hero uniforms, and it's not them like retired washed up assholes anymore. And that was like by the end of issue 4, all right, we have everybody established and we're ready to go. And now all of that is basically ready to go by the end of issue 1. He gave us a lot of great advice, and I went back and retooled a bunch of things, and it worked out for the better. It's a very story heavy first issue. It's like, I don't know if my other cat's fucking around or what. But yeah, things are coming together. We'll most likely be getting back to draw streams soon. I think me and Kayla were gonna do some sort of holiday hangout, but she's working on wrapping up finals for school and everything right now, and I believe that wraps up on like the 18th. And then we'll have Kayla back to regular interviews and things on Wednesdays like usual. And yeah, that's about all the updates for now, I believe. Yeah, but this show is more about shooting your shot. You guys have witnessed me. Like I've been around for fucking years now. Open to trying to get writing work anywhere in comics, and it doesn't work out. You kind of have to make it for yourself, and be hopeful the audience will show up like you guys did for us. But that's not always the case or a reality for people. What's up, Hans?
What's up, dude? I think this is the first time I've ever come on the line stream during the day, so this is weird.
Right? And with the shaved head.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It took me, a couple of days after I got back from Boston. I was like, I have to get rid of this shit.
Oh, yeah. Now that you don't have to be on model for the character anymore.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I didn't realize how thin it was on top. And then I saw that.
Oh, it's not that. You make it out to be way worse than it is.
Well, I saw the video that we did for that public access show, and I was like, oh, fuck. I'm so shiny on top. I was like, this is terrible. Man.
You're not even like Bruce Willis in Die Hard or anything yet. It's not that fucking bad. You just have like a receding hairline.
I have like the monk bald.
Yeah. You're also like it's deceiving online, but you're also like as fucking tall as me. Like you're a big dude. You're nowhere near as fat as me, but like it's deceptive online. Once I got out to meet all of you dudes, I was like, oh shit. Like Jerry looks so tiny online.
Yeah.
You see him in streams? And I met him and Jerry just as tall as me.
Yeah, I get that a lot, mostly because of the Mexican thing too. Like I guess people expect me to be like 5'7" or something. And,
yeah, you're always making jokes about being Mexican, and I'm like, I just assumed. And I think you've even said you were like over 6 feet before.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm around 6'2"-ish. Like I think I'm shorter now because I'm old, so I'm going down. But I used to be 6'2". I don't know about now.
Yeah, my spine's starting to deteriorate too.
Yeah.
Older Thantries. Why does Hans have good internet for this stream but bad internet for his podcast?
I don't know. It could be Zoom. Because for me it works perfectly, but I guess when because Lores is the one that captures it.
Yeah.
So maybe on his side when he's capturing it, like I'm very like.
That's what I was saying when we did the crossover stream. Was it could just be like a hosting thing, where
the Halloween one?
The first one we did. What was it, like Army of the Dead?
Oh yeah,
way back. And we were all just like, this is a bad one because nobody really has anything nice to say about this movie.
Right, yeah.
It's like there wasn't one person that was even like, I'm going to take the other side and play devil's advocate on this one. We were all just like, no.
Did you see the other one they put out?
I remember I messaged you the night that came out, and I was like, putting on Army of Thieves or whatever. I was like, I just like felt like this weird, like, well, I suffered through the first one. I guess I should just like see what this is all about. And 5 minutes in, I knew exactly what I was getting into. And there's like references to zombies, but it's pretty much like a weird like teen romance movie.
Was it like a Walking Dead episode?
Completely pointless. Not even a Walking Dead episode. It's like kind of like a heist movie, but really lazily done. And it's just like hipster bullshit. Like if you told me it was like from BuzzFeed Studios, I would have been like, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, the guy directed it, right? That
the like German Swedish dude or whatever. Yeah, he's something super Norwegian or something. His name's just got like a bunch of V's and F's and shit in it.
A bunch of like little curvy lines on top of the letters.
The little dots over it. Bunch of accents. Every accent you can think of. Man.
Can you record on StreamYard? You can, right?
StreamYard. So it's basically I know the one that I have, you have up to like 50 gigs on their cloud. So like what we're recording right now, it's live, but it's also just backlogging on their cloud. And until that 50 gigs is full, you can just download those videos. Like they'll sit in a backlog on the main interface, and like you just have to like clear that out every so often. And it even lets you, the way you can control it in their interface is like if you want to completely remove the video from YouTube too, you can like say we did this live stream and then I didn't want it up on the channel, I can download the video and then delete it from both StreamYard and YouTube immediately and still have it to put up on Patreon or whatever. Or you can like set it to private and stuff like that. So it's there, and they're like updating shit really frequently. It seems like Zoom sort of like got a bag and took off. Right. StreamYard, they were like just doing it because they wanted to do it. I'm pretty sure they were around before like COVID really picked up too. So they were just like, hey, we're doing it was an alternative to when Google was talking about shutting down Hangouts. And I think Google went back on that. I think you can still do Google Hangouts now. But they like shut it down and stopped the like integration with YouTube where you just used to be able to fire up one of these on YouTube. So StreamYard was just like a competitor for that, and it was literally because Google announced that. They were like, hey, we're taking out this integrated feature, and it was just like, why? And so stuff like StreamYard, Zoom might have popped up around that time, but I wasn't familiar with it. And I used the free version of this for a while, which I think you get up to like 4 or 5 guests, something like that. And then eventually upgraded to the paid version just for all the features and everything. And that's how you can do these backgrounds and fucking ad breaks and shit.
Because if someone's saying that this looks better than like, I don't really, and I don't think this is weird, but I don't really listen to the podcast. Like I'm just like I said the things and I heard it, so I don't have no reason to rewatch it. So I don't know. Camera issues, but I have noticed that in the middle of our Zoom recording, sometimes my thing lags a little bit. So if this works a lot better, then I'll just tell Laura.
Yeah, and I mean if it's like just you guys and a guest, usually I think you can get away with just doing it with the free version. You don't even need to upgrade.
No, even better. Yeah.
I think the free version is only you're allowed to like stream for like 30 hours a month or something like that, but you guys only do a couple of shows a week, so that might actually work out for you. That was how we started out too, was we weren't doing a lot, so the free thing worked, and it was just like me, Ryan, and Jeff bullshitting. And then like it started to get to a point where we had like 20 people watching every night we would stream. And we were very quickly burning through the monthly hours we had, and we're just like, we should just fucking buy this thing finally. Gonna play some Halo, write some more, maybe cry a little later, Spritzer and Hanson. Take it easy, Rex Doom.
Have you seen the trailer for that Texas Chainsaw Massacre game?
Oh yeah, the game that's done by Gun Media that did the
Friday
Friday
the
the
13th people.
13th game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm skeptical. Like, if you dig way back in my history, those dudes literally had me blocked for a while because I railed against how fucking bad that game was on launch and how they
Okay.
hustled everybody with the Kickstarter. Like, it was pitched that if they hit this certain goal, they were going to do a single player campaign in all this. And they hit that goal and they did not make that campaign. And then they released like these weird, like, single player missions afterwards that were like really half assed. It was poor execution, but the game is, like I've said, I've been trying to organize a thing where we could play with like our patrons and the dudes and just like fire it up with me and Jeff, because the game's a shitload of fun if you're playing with a bunch of people you know and everybody's just on board to fuck around, because then you can just like joke around as Jason and fucking fuck with your friends. And it's great that way. So I'm like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre will probably be the same thing, where if you got a good group of buddies that all have it, it's probably a shitload of fun, and you can get, like the Friday the 13th movie, you're having a couple drinks or smoking a little bit, hanging out with your friends, you're gonna laugh your ass off, and you'll genuinely get some good jump scares. Like,
yeah,
like
I never played it for that same reason. Like, I don't really like playing online. Like, I don't know, I don't have the patience for it. So I just like playing campaign and things like that. And I didn't even know they added that.
I can't stand a lot of gamer culture, so literally every game I play online is mostly muted, or I'm playing with like my old roommate. But Friday the 13th was one of the ones where the community dwindled down really fast to just like 2,000 players that really loved the game, and there'd be like a couple of dickheads that would grief people and stuff. They eventually like patched that out and everything. So it's like, this game, if they launch it properly and it's like working, servers are running and everything, and it's got basically all the fixes that Friday the 13th had by the end of its life, it's gonna be successful. And the only real like competition it has is the Evil Dead game that's coming out. And Evil Dead just basically announced that they're pushing the game back in order to add a full single player campaign, which I think is going to be a huge boost for the game. Like it's more staying power for like people who say that don't want to fucking play online necessarily and just like run around mowing down deadites, because I assume it's probably like some sort of horde mode or like a versus mode where some people play as deadites and some people play as hero characters. What's up, Matt? Yeah, I mean, it looks cool, and I think even if the game like comes out botched like the Friday the 13th game did at launch, it's still like a net positive if there's like some decent horror games coming out, especially multiplayer stuff at this point. It's way less disappointing than I mentioned the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie right before you came in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's way less disappointing than the movie looks. The game I'm actually interested in, the movie I'm like, that's free and I don't even pay for my Netflix. Like my girlfriend's family just has like a bunch of fucking accounts for it, so Beth has just always had one.
I fucking forgot that they were gonna put that out on Netflix. That
it's a Netflix movie.
My already small interest in it, because I know that they can't. You just can't remake it.
It looks like they took the Captain Planet teens formula from that Stranger Things season where 11 just goes on like a gay goth like punk trip for one episode. I
didn't make it up. I didn't make it that
man.
Far.
So
I got to like season halfway, season 2, and I was like
3. It might even be 2. I don't remember at this point because I think I tapped out in the middle of 3. But there's like an episode where it's basically she meets up with like the goth punk version of like the Captain Planet teens. And it's just like the UN of teenagers, like one of every color. And it's the most like on the nose, like, there was like a meeting where they were like, this is our chance to have like just pack this moment with diversity, because it's so like it's insane, dude. And it immediately takes you out of the story, and the girl is like, she's got slicked back hair. You think it's going to be more like have more to do with the overall story, and it's just like, let's be X-Men light for an afternoon or something. It's really fucking weird.
Isn't she like an alien? 11? What is she?
No, she's like a little kid that they experimented on. It's like an MK
Oh,
Ultra
right.
riff.
True. That's true.
She's
Okay.
just like attached to that. I guess it's not like alien. It's more like extra dimensional. I get the way they explain it.
Right.
It's like linked to her. But basically the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre does that, where like the trailer shows like right at the beginning it's just a group of teens, and like I expected it to not be, you know, like even like the reboot where it's just like bunch of white kids again, and like the mid 2000s where it was like we do a bunch of white people but then there's a black guy and a black girl and we've covered all our bases, and that was like that was the early 2000s formula for slasher movies.
It's like we'll get a Chinese guy in there and he's the smart one, but he has no muscles.
Yeah, well, the 80s though, you think about the time and the culture and everything, and a lot of people are like, oh, it wasn't diverse or anything, and they make it sound like it was this active, like trying to keep people of color out of horror, like they weren't in tons of horror already. But it was more so just like a lot of these slasher movies were so low budget, they would just cast who was available and shoot it. It was like I listened to all these commentaries, and it's like a lot of times they didn't even try out. There wasn't like a casting call. They would a producer or someone knew a couple of people, and they would. Nick Castle ended up being the Shape in fucking Halloween because he went to college with fucking John Carpenter and made that shitty Dark Star movie with them. I think you guys watched that on one of your shows a while ago.
We did on Civic TV.
It's like impressive that he did that for the money he did it for, but it's not a good movie, and even he will say that. Like,
it feels like they just. They were like, hey, do you know any girl with long blonde hair or long brown hair? Cool. Bring her in. And that's it. Like, that's the test. I'm surprised it didn't add anyone in a wheelchair, though, like in the original. That's
I know the 2000s remake with Jessica Biel still had the wheelchair guy, didn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Because it was...
to be honest, like all of those... how many reboots of Chainsaw Massacre has there been? 2 or 3, right? Without counting Leatherface.
Honestly, I don't know canonically on their end what's considered a reboot, but there was the first 3, then a reboot.
Next Generation, right? That's another one.
Next Generation, I believe. I think that's 3 technically of the original series. So there's the original, Tobe Hooper's second one. That's the like comedy. That's actually, I really enjoy that one, and a lot of people hate on it. It's getting like this hipster resurgence now where everybody's like, oh, I always loved it. But it's an awesome movie. Dennis Hopper's fucking batshit in it, and that's like one of the best parts of it.
Chop Top is fucking legendary. They should have used that character more, and they just ended.
It's another one like Land of the Dead that a lot of people fucking hate, and I love it for a lot of the same reasons, that it's just like so whack. It feels like a comic book brought to life, and Dennis Hopper's fucking bonkers in it. John Leguizamo, Johnny Legs getting fucking ridiculous as a sentient zombie. It's a great time. Very comic booky movies. But yeah, it's the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre is fucking Fede Alvarez, the dude who didn't he do the Evil Dead reboot?
Isn't he producing it? I don't think he's.
Oh, is that what it is? That's why then. All right.
I think so, because I remember that I was very not upset, but I was like, because I remember that I don't know if it was this movie or another one, but it was like Fede Alvarez presents, and I'm like, fuck you, you're no one to put something out that says Fede Alvarez presents. You know, fucking George Carpenter or any of these horror directors that are that have a body of work. You have what, like 3 movies?
I mean, a lot of people were the same way when Eli Roth started doing that, but it was like Eli Roth at least is like a hardcore movie guy. Like, I don't know anything about Alvarez outside of him doing that Evil Dead movie.
Let me see. He directed Evil Dead, and then he directed Don't Breathe.
Don't Breathe is the other one, yeah.
Oh, I know. The Girl in the Spiderweb. I think that's the Stieg Larsson
Jonathan Tucker is the dude who played the kid Morgan, the kid in the wheelchair in the 2003 remake. I couldn't remember his name, but he was one of the
Oh yeah,
brothers in this show, the Black Donnellys, back in the day, if you remember that.
yeah.
He's
He
like,
was in a lot of like shitty
yeah,
horror movies
I think
during
he
the
was
early
in
2000s.
Hostage with what's his face? Fucking Bruce Willis in like the early 2000s. Yeah,
He was in The
Hostage.
Ruins. Do you remember The Ruins?
Yup, The Ruins. I didn't even
Uh,
remember him being in the Virgin Suicides, but he is in that. Forgot all about that. He's not a bad actor, and he's actually, I remember him being one of the better parts in this too. He's not like the blonde douchey guy that's one of the main. I think it's like Jessica Biel's boyfriend in the 2003 one. I can't
I need to
remember what came after the
revisit.
2003 one though.
I need to revisit that movie. It's been so long since I've seen it. I just remember not liking it.
The Jessica Biel one isn't bad. 2006 is the beginning. So that was New Generation was 3 in the original. That's the McConaughey one that everybody tries to forget. It's McConaughey and Renee Zellweger, which is
That
fucking
movie's fun.
yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's so silly. It's so like out there.
The only thing that's weird about it to me is it's one of those movies like Silver Bullet where you can tell a lot of it was shot on like a studio backlot. Like you can feel like the lighting at the edges of the camera in almost every shot, and you're like,
right.
oh yeah, they're literally inside right now. like it's an outdoor scene, and you know, like there's a roof on this. Like it's the weirdest thing, but like I love Silver Bullet. I go back and watch that movie like almost annually, and like all the scenes in the woods and shit, you're like, they're literally in a room right now. This is like trees stapled to the walls and floor. Like
I don't think I've ever seen Silver Bullet.
oh man, it's the wheelchair kid and his uncle Gary Busey. It's a Stephen King and Bernie Wrightson book from way back in the day. It's like a novel with a bunch of spot illustrations, but Bernie Wrightson is like a legend in comics. If you're not familiar, you've probably seen his stuff and just don't know it. He's like one of the classic like EC like pulp horror comic guys and did fucking tons of stuff. Worked for like all the big companies. Was just the fucking coolest horror guy. Like he's to horror what Frazetta was to fantasy. At least in my eyes. And
who is it? What's his name?
Bernie Wrightson.
Okay.
And him and Stephen King did this book years ago. I actually have a copy of it somewhere. I don't know if it's on my shelf or somewhere else right now, but yeah, he did Swamp Thing as well. That's what he's really known for.
Yeah, I've seen those Frankenstein illustrations too. I don't know if that's from a
yeah,
comic,
his Frankenstein book. That was like a book he did on his own. That was just like a series of illustrations he was working on over like a couple of years. That stuff's all fucking amazing. I've been meaning to grab a copy of that for a while. All that like that wood grain stuff. He like experimented with a little bit of that in Cycle of the Werewolf. And Cycle of the Werewolf's actually cool because it's like I don't like a lot of Stephen King stuff, but it's all written like a kid's diary. It's from the perspective of this kid in a wheelchair. And in the movie, I think it's like Corey Haim, if I remember correctly. I think he plays the main kid. And then Gary Busey's like his crazy drunk uncle. And basically like there's a werewolf terrorizing this town. Oh, bye, Hans. Explaining to him this movie and he disappears. But yeah, it's great, Hans. He kicked himself out.
Sorry, I closed the StreamYard window by mistake.
Knew it. Yeah, no, it's just like this kid's diary for a month leading up to like the next full moon, essentially, the cycle of a werewolf. Okay. And they're like punctuated with these great full page spot illustrations from Bernie Wrightson, all the way from like gouache illustrations to like watercolors, wood grain drawings, and they're just like turbo violent and ridiculous. That's honestly one that I'm surprised hasn't been remade to death, like because it was really popular for a time, and I feel like they just keep skirting around making good werewolf movies.
Well, that's the thing. I think there hasn't been one werewolf movie that's been a hit yet, right? Feels like every movie they put out, at least in the past 10, 15
Not
years,
until I
maybe.
release my turbo horny
Right.
werewolf giallo.
But because the whole zombie thing, that it's dead now, but it was like what, like 5 years maybe, where it was just zombie content. But it was because of I'm assuming it was because of the Dawn of the Dead remake, right?
Yeah, we literally, me and Jeff decided to do City of Rot just because we were like, it's been beaten to death, but it would be an interesting challenge to do something that's set in that world that stands on its own without just being like, hey, we got zombies. And we were like, we think we have a good idea. Let's see if we can pull it off and if people are interested enough in it. And we pitched it as that. And it wasn't just like, hey, we got dead people eating people. It's like, there's plenty of that in it, but that is not the point of this story. And like the few people that have seen it really fucking dig it, and according to them, we've achieved what we set out to do. But that was like the only reason we had any interest in it. And we were like, man, we just went in with the mentality that like this would be a cool fucking like 70s grindhouse movie, just like we were just talking about, these throwaway movies where guys would walk into a bar with 20 grand and be like, we'll pay you $100 for the day to fucking beat up guys painted up like zombies, and they just pick the biggest, meanest fucking dude there. Like, there's all these grindhouse movies that have a story like that, and these directors that were like, oh yeah, we'd go into a strip club and just pick like 6 strippers and be like, you want to show your boobs on film for 5 minutes and make $100? And they're just like, yeah, I do it all day for $100 because it's the fucking 70s. Like, and it's like, you would just fucking, I mean, you're objectifying women and men for brief periods of time for solid money to be immortalized in your crazy movie that most people thought would never see the light of day. And then there was the whole drive-in boom and all this other shit. So it's like,
the
I think that's really
was just like blue paint.
Yeah, that was the best. Dude, Romero could only blow up in that fucking time. Good luck a guy like that convincing people nowadays to put that kind of money into a movie without just being like the studio, like, yeah, we got blue paint in the budget for the zombies.
and Walking Dead pretty much killed that, right? Because they turned, or at least what I think is, they just turned zombies into a soap.
Oh yeah, and
which is what Walking Dead is, and then they kept, because I didn't know that there was another Walking Dead related show that came out, because they have Fear of the Walking Dead, which is 2 or 3
now,
shitty, and then there's
Survival
another new
of
one
the Walking
too.
Dead or something.
Yeah, something like that. It's like
Survive the Walking Dead. It's a Shudder exclusive. I know that much.
Talk about I because you want to support companies that put out content like I thought Shudder was going to put out. I thought that it's a purely
They're
horror.
They're still taking some risks. Like, that's why I still support them. Is like they are super liberal and do a lot of like corny shit that just like it does. I watch 5 minutes of it and shut it off. But they do still take some risks. They got some great like foreign movies and stuff that I probably never would come across if it weren't for them, and a lot of like weird crime thrillers and shit. But I feel like it's
their productions though.
That's the thing is it's starting to lean into this weird territory where I don't know if they just have like a limit cap on what they're willing to spend on things, and it's leaving them in this like almost like Redbox territory of movies now.
Yeah. I still haven't seen one where I'm like, oh, this looks cool. It's almost kind of like, oh, I already know what that movie is, which is watching the trailer.
They have a couple like originals coming that like sound interesting to me, but a lot of them have been, like Hyper Kaiju just said, have been kind of underwhelming. Like, I was excited for that Skull one, and that ended up being really, really, really low budget.
What, the mask? Skull the Mask or something? Portuguese one?
Yeah.
I never saw that one. I think I downloaded it like a year ago or something.
The designs and stuff are cool, but it's that execution of like, it's getting to be this mentality of like, people are like, anyone can make a movie, and they genuinely just go into that with that mentality without any thought of like even composition or framing a shot or anything. And that's what I'm neurotic about right now. I'm like, man, I want to have some control over things, but I was like, I don't know if I could personally fucking direct something myself right now. But I'm like, I have enough of a background in comics and shit like that, working with enough people. I know we could do storyboards and all this other shit for a movie, and there's a lot of paths we could travel with production, but you also never want to get too married to stuff like that. It's like good to have something to reference, but on scene, just like from being around you guys that one night, it's like good to just be able to just stand there on set and be like, oh, we can actually frame this up completely different and achieve the same thing, and it's way more effective this way. Like maybe you storyboard something in a wide shot, but it ends up a close-up works way better. And,
it looks better,
yeah. And that's where I'm like, there's a lot of different things we can do, but it feels like there's a lot of these indie movies where they just like write a script that has a beginning, middle, and end, and they're willing to take whatever low budget someone will throw at them. It's that mentality of just make your movie at no matter what cost. Like you can make the same movie for $5, just focus on the acting and everything. And all that stuff is true to an extent, but it's like, you still need to be thinking about all the different aspects of it. Like watching you guys with audio and stuff, and how Lores and Jake just like talk back and forth. It's like, I know they're speaking English. I know what they're talking about, but it is like an alien language being on set there and witnessing it happen, because they're like in tune and operating like one unit. And I'm just like, cool. Like, that's why I would just like stand out of the way and like be quiet. But yeah, man, like all of that stuff is it's fascinating to me and everything, but it feels like a lot of these people that are getting budgets aren't considering the full spectrum of things, and how, bad audio can ruin an otherwise great movie. Like you could have done everything right shooting your movie, and then you have a horrible mix on your audio, and now your movie fucking sucks.
That's one of the things that when I was in film school that I learned from an audio guy. I took a couple of jobs just doing boom operating because of my size, I guess. This guy that hired me, he was like 5'6".
Yeah, you can clear a shot.
He was like 5'6", so he was like, you would be good at this. And I was like, fine. So I got a job with him, and he had like a station with like a lot of audio equipment and shit. He was like a little cart that he was like a homeless person that he would drag around. But he told me that, when you're in film school or like working with film students and also professionals, like sometimes they don't think about the audio at all. And then they think that they can just fix everything in post. And that's the one thing that if you don't get it right, if you try to do the revoicing thing, you have to be really good at it for it to work. Otherwise, it sounds like a old Italian movie.
And your actors need to be good at it. Like the talent needs to know. Like that's why I know a bit about that just from friends who've worked in voice acting and stuff like that, and in like just game design friends who have had to put voice acting into their games and things. It's like, that's all. It's basically voice acting at that point, and it's almost harder to fucking match yourself than it is to feel out and create a character for a cartoon. Like it's fucking a whole different world.
I've had to do just over dub things and with low res, and it takes me a while because you have to match the facial expression that you're doing on screen and then also deliver the line properly so that it sounds like it's part of the conversation that was already happening. It's fucking difficult, and I've done for like 10 seconds or whatever, and it's like, I can't get this fucking right to sound like like it came out of that mouth that's moving.
It's like recording music or something. You're trying to get that perfect fucking take, but it's weird, especially matching yourself. It's also this like, I feel like I have this natural blocker of like, why am I doing this? Like, In what other scenario would I ever need to match my vocal patterns perfectly? Yeah, it's just crazy. And then there's like, you can have a pretty shitty movie and have really good audio, and a lot of times that really punches things up. Like, I've seen a lot of
Mhm.
movies where I'm like, man, if I muted this right now, this action scene sucks. Like,
Yeah. Well,
like
the Transformers movies.
yeah, there's either too much camera movement or not enough camera movement. You're just like, wow, this audio is super fucking crunchy though. And I'm like, that's a lot of the thing I'm working on is like, if that had bad audio, none of the movie lands. Cause it's like, there's not really like outright humor. Like, there's not jokes in this movie.
Mhm.
It's not like a haha funny. Like, that's why like when I sent an early bit to Low Res and he was like, reminds me of like early Rob Zombie stuff. Very cool. I was like, oh fuck, because I'm like, I think early Rob Zombie stuff, and he was really trying to be like funny and horrific in it, and I was like, that is not what I'm going
No.
for here. So I had to like go and scale back a bunch of shit. Uh, but then I was like, that also after like learning more, like I've been listening to fucking commentary tracks more than I've been watching movies lately, and like old interviews with directors that I love and stuff, and a lot of it is just fucking like uh figuring it out with the people you end up working with. And like we were saying, a lot of it's going to come through in the audio, the performances, and all this different shit, but there's so much of that that is overlooked in indie productions now. It's a problem in comics too. Like in comics, a lot of times guys are like, "Oh, if I just have great art, the book will do fine. If like the story's really good, the book will do all right." But it's like, if you were doing everything right and you had awesome colors, great lettering, a great artist, a really fucking tight script, that book would be huge and it would last generations. Is like, that's the testament for writing evergreen stuff too. That's why I was like, I wanted to do something where it's technically a period piece, but it's more so to just eliminate the necessity of like where the fuck cell phones are in this story. And now
Mm.
in horror movies, it's just like the cell tower's out. like
Yeah.
all of our phones
Oh,
died.
yes.
Like, I hate, and
Yeah.
it stands out even more to me now where like, that like these guys went to like a screenwriting seminar or a class or something, or had some mentor that was like, don't forget to address cell phones in your horror movie because that's talked about so much. And I'm like, or you could just set it in a time where you don't have to address any of this shit.
Right.
I was like,
Yeah.
or just be a good writer and you just don't use cell phones or anything in it. I was like, this works for a period piece, and then I don't have to explain any of that, and all the strange shit I want to put into this fits for the time period.
Yeah. All the holes that people like us would find in the story. What do you think the budget is for Shutter Productions? Because like that could be an option for your thing, and if that was to happen, then I would have nothing but good things to say about them. But until
Yeah,
then,
right. I'm not that guy. That's the whole thing too, is I feel like Bonfire Legend, I feel like, is a company where I could still be myself and be outspoken,
Mm,
and they wouldn't give a shit. Like, no matter where I land on it, and it's like I'm in the middle somewhere. Like, I would fucking be blown away if somebody could get a read on my politics at the end of the day. Because
right.
I don't give a shit about that stuff. Which is my whole thing, is like, I'm here to make entertainment and art for people. I'm trying to tell the stories I want to tell, and if you can parse what I'm trying to get at in my writing, cool. If you're along for the ride, cool. If you enjoy it, awesome. If you check it out, great. That's what I want. And if it makes you ask questions and everything, I'm not looking to give people answers. I'm looking to entertain people and maybe have them walk out of a theater or close a book asking more questions than they started, and not in like a conspiratorial way or anything like that. Just maybe get someone thinking about some concepts they've never thought about before. Whether it's
Yeah,
like
like
the
I
afterlife
just
is a lot of what Voidwalker's about. It's just fucking different things that my brain latches onto over time, and I feel I have something I can say about it without being preachy on the internet. I can make something that people can entertain themselves with, and maybe pull that from it.
I just found a list of the essential Shudder originals and exclusives or whatever. You have Mayhem to 2017. That I don't remember. I don't think I saw.
That's one of the best
that
ones, honestly. That's was it Joe? Oh
Lynch.
God, Joe Lynch. Thank you. I almost said Joe Green. I'm mixing him up with Adam Green, his buddy, who does they do a podcast together. That's actually fairly good.
The Hatchet guy.
Yeah, he did the Hatchet movies and like Digging Up the Marrow and a bunch of other stuff.
That was cool. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, no,
Digging Up the Marrow.
They're both great directors, and like Joe Lynch did like one of the earlier Wrong Turn movies and stuff like that. Very cool dudes, and they're both all about like original practical prosthetics and stuff like that. So like I dig their stuff. Mayhem, I completely forgot is a Shudder original though. That's probably one of the better ones, and that kicked off that chick's career. What's her face?
Yeah, I know her face. I don't know.
There's like 6 women that look like her, and she's actually like the better of all of them. Samara Weaving. Yeah. Thank you. I think she was in Ready or Not too, which is another one that like a lot of people slept on, but was actually kind of funny. It was kind of like poking fun at like elitist SJW shit without being too on the nose. But it's also kind of like it poked fun at a lot of like sort of both sides thing, but was overall just like a wild, fun gore fest. I'm pretty sure that was her in it.
Not familiar with that at all. It's
I like really schlocky shit though. Like
it made a bunch of movies, 60 million almost. Yeah, it's her. Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure they didn't. I don't think they spent much money on it because it's basically all set in one house. Everybody that's in it is kind of like washed up from the early 2000s. Like
Adrian Brody and
it was well done, and it like has some genuinely funny parts that at least landed for me. I guess people really liked it. I didn't know how well it did because I feel like I didn't hear shit about it. Yeah, like every once in a while stuff like that happens, but I don't think that's even a Shudder original. I just brought that up because she's in it as well. Mayhem was cool though, but Mayhem was also, I think, got overshadowed because it was kind of like that Belko experiment movie that James Gunn did.
Yeah. Which was fine.
Yeah, and again, it's like came out around the same time, and it's one of those like correlating concepts again, where 2 movies that happens a fucking ton in Hollywood, and then you have guys like Asylum that do the mockbusters afterwards. But this was just like a coincidence sort of thing, I guess. But yeah, man, I can't imagine. I honestly think with Shudder, a lot of times they're purely independent productions, and then I think Shudder buys the license to release them as a Shudder like original, which I believe is just them buying an exclusive deal, which is why I think they're like smaller, lower budget indie ones, because then it's like, I don't know, maybe these guys are getting like 10 grand from Shudder for it. I can't imagine it's a lot of money, dude. I would love to know more about like how their system works and everything, but I can't imagine like maybe it's more, or it's some sort of deal where you're getting more money to do another production afterwards or something. But I can't imagine, like, I think the newer ones, they're now paying for it and everything, but Shudder is like AMC's like ugly stepchild. Like technically AMC owns it, but it seems like they put no money into it. So I really feels more like they're probably not giving people very much money for these productions that these people were probably doing on shoestrings. Like, and I'm imagining a lot of these are produced like on a budget around what you guys produced your movie on. And it's, like I said, it's literally these productions where it's more about just churning out the movie as quickly as possible and spending as little as possible. Like the concept of having to wait an extra year or whatever to do insert shots and stuff like you guys were doing is like, probably not happening on any of these productions. Like I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these guys were like, oh yeah, we shot the movie in 7 days and we were done. Like,
yeah. Well, I think the pandemic helped with that too. I don't think we wanted to wait for so long, but that and money.
But yeah, and you make it work, and that's the whole thing, is you work with your budget, but it's more like budget's part of it now, but a lot of indie movies, it also seems like just getting it done and getting on to the next one. Like people seem almost more so about like racking up more credits on their IMDb page than like producing something of quality, which is the same problem in comic books right now. Is just like, I have to get more fucking notches on my belt. Like I need to fucking add more books with my name on it, instead of just worrying about like making a book that people actually are going to read in a year, let alone 10 years from now.
The weird thing about that is that what has AMC done that's successful after fucking Jesus? I'm on their list of like productions. Breaking Bad ended in 2013. Then you have something like Hell on Wheels, I guess.
Thanksgiving is like a Troma movie. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I love schlocky stuff like that a ton, but that's like a different ball game. Like, you know what you're getting into at Troma, and they almost pride themselves on spending the least amount of money possible. Like, Lloyd Kaufman and Troma are literally the longest running independent film studio in America. I think they have like the Guinness record for it now. But like, they pride themselves on that. I think that's a different ball game altogether than like at least what I intend to mean with this Shudder stuff. And it's not even hating on Shudder. Like there's still impressive moments in a lot of these movies. It's just cohesively, I find myself, I watch these movies and like a week later, I can't remember what the fuck happened in them.
Yeah.
Like at all. It just like brain hole.
Honestly, like, I don't want to shit on them because it is an independent company that has made a bunch, I don't know how much money, but a bunch of money by producing things for almost no money. But the couple of Troma movies that I've seen, I like Toxic Avenger. That's it. Yeah. Like everything else is kind of like, Jesus, you could have another take. Do you have another take? Is this the take that you're
Dude, have you seen Troma War?
No, but I saw the Nukem High ones, and I was like,
"Oh yeah, Surf Nazis Must Die." I would say honestly,
maybe I should check the old ones. Yeah,
I was gonna say honestly, check out Troma War. I think Last Drive-In might have done Troma War for an episode a while back. But Troma War is legit like a fun ass movie. Imagine Rambo if Rambo was just like someone's dad and he was protecting like a cast the size of like Lost. Like,
okay.
Also, you'll watch Troma War and the opening 20 minutes you'll feel like J.J. Abrams watched Troma War and came up with Lost from that movie. Opens on a plane crash that is the most low budget, brilliant way to do a plane crash in a movie ever, dude. You would be like, as someone who knows about like fabricating and having to build shit to like show the viewer what the fuck is happening, it is a genius way to illustrate that a bunch of fucking people just got in a full-on plane crash, and basically that whole beginning is used for Lost. Like,
yeah.
Dude, Vinegar Syndrome's great. Yeah, that fucking entertainment center back there has a bunch of their movies on it.
I've gone on their website just to know which movies to download, just to find like obscure old shitty movies that I can download.
Oh my god,
$30 for them, but yeah,
I'm getting them all on Blu-ray because I think I told Lores, I don't know if I told you, we're eventually, we're finishing the basement downstairs and putting a theater in. Finally dug out our 8mm projector, and I think my girlfriend has a 16mm one. So now we're trying to figure out if we can get a good 16mm camera as well, because if we can somehow do this movie ourselves, I would fucking love to shoot it on film. And if I have to pay a couple grand to rent a camera for a couple of weeks, I'd rather just pay a couple grand to buy a camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if I use it like once, it's like... it just makes more sense. It's like, then I can rent it out to other people or sell it.
Yeah, you could also just do like little shorts or shit.
Yeah,
for yourself,
exactly.
Too.
It was like, I imagine we'd buy more film than we need, and if you don't fucking use it all, we have film left over to shoot shorts and shit with. I talked
Yeah.
to Kino Corner, and he basically said he did the same thing with his movie. He bought extra film just to be safe. He knew he was going to have to do more takes than he anticipated, and you always have to plan for the worst possible outcomes. And he ended up with some film left over at the end. So it's like, if you're planning on doing more with it, it always works out. And I'm like, if we can legitimately get a studio interested in this and willing to fund it, I think it makes sense to do it right, shoot it on film, and get that fucking gnarly texture.
How much is it to develop it though?
The math I did on it and talking to Kino, I think between film and developing, you could do it all for about 30 grand.
Okay.
And that's like the developing as well. It might be a little bit more now with inflation and everything. Probably around 40 or 50 grand, who knows? But like even at that point for a feature, you figure if you're doing it on film with backing of a studio that tends to do anywhere from a 1 million to 1.5 million dollar budget on a movie, and my rough estimate, I think I told Lores, was like, if you wanted to go balls to the, like if we were just doing it ourselves and we wanted to do everything I have in the script and then some, like, because I have sections, like there's a part in the beginning where, like, without ruining too much, heroes getting dragged in, and it's like the setup for the movie. It's almost it's the Chekhov's gun for the whole fucking movie, basically, where we show the revolver on the wall and then we're going to be shooting it off fucking constantly. But it's
Right.
like you're seeing the rogues gallery and like the production team setting up and like running cables, almost like what we were doing on set. But it's the production team for this snuff film, and he's basically being dragged into this one song, and like through a hole in this bag on his head is seeing just like sections of everything going on. And I had basically like two alternate shots for it where we either shoot it from his perspective, where it's like you're seeing it through a burlap sack hole the whole time, and you're just seeing these weird fucking like 70s pinholes floating around on the screen, and it was supposed to be really disorienting, but I was like, that might be too much, or we just shoot it from the outside like a natural scene, maybe a trucking shot or something where it's like how Old Boy did the trucking shot down the hallway. It's just from the side following him. But I'm like, right. You do that following him through, and you see like the fucking dominatrix chicks doing their makeup, blowing kisses at him and stuff. You see the red rooms where they're literally like peeling the skin off of a guy, and all these other fucking little horror gags that I wrote into it. And that was the whole idea, is you're just sort of, things escalate extremely quickly, and he realizes, this is the moment where he realizes the severity of the situation he's got himself into, and that he's not just being kidnapped for ransom or something like that, and it immediately just like plunges into the fucking abyss from there. But it like shows like a bunch of weird characters with no real context, and you're like, it's supposed to make you feel like he does in that moment, like what the fuck am I involved in? And it, like I told you guys early on, there's not a ton of dialogue in it. The more dialogue heavy role is probably the director. And like the main character opens up over time and there's more dialogue, but it's like, I wrote it to be like an old Western. It's just a really
like a Clint Eastwood thing.
It's a very violent, over the top Western. And, fucking like originally I wrote it with Scott Eastwood in mind, and then we talked and fucking you familiarized me with Shaner, and I reached out, and that might be like the best option, because I really would like to do it with people that aren't known, and Scott Eastwood has blown up since I like started working on it. He like got really fucking big.
Whatever happened to Shaner? Did he just stop replying?
I reached out to him right after the shoot with you guys, and he was like, "No, dude, I'm still interested." He just had some shit going on. He's very interested. He just had to get him the script and let him know how it goes with the studio. Else, yeah, but he seems interested in it, and he's literally like the perfect fit. It's like, hey, you don't really need to, it's a lot of physical acting, not so much like delivering lines early on, and that's why I was like, you get the right guy where like if it's all of us there and we can sit down and really like rehearse things out, and it's not like, that's why the studio backing is better. If we could just book out this warehouse for a month and be like, we're gonna rehearse for a week, we're gonna nail shit, and we're gonna shoot this like a real movie on film, and it's gonna be fucking great. We basically need a fight choreographer that knows how to sell like grimy fights. This is supposed to be like real people fighting. It's not like a John Woo film or anything like that. Like it's supposed to be really fucking gritty and really brutal and abrupt, which is why someone like Bone Tomahawk's violence is great for that. It's like the movie isn't like fantastic. I like it a lot, but I know it does have its pitfalls and stuff, but that abruptness of the violence and the gore in that, I like that because it feels more realistic. It's this fucking...
Well, it comes out of nowhere, too. It's very graphic. You're just like, oh, shit, this is real. All right.
That's the reality of violence, and that's more of the tone I'm looking for in this, is it's like, yeah, there's these demented, like, fucking crazy, over-the-top characters, but the severity of the situation and the reality of the violence happening there is extreme, like... And we demonstrate that very quickly, and then you get to sort of go through the rogues gallery with the whole idea that every bit of this is being filmed by the production company with the intent to be edited down for this invisible audience that has an endless hunger for violence and entertainment that always needs to step it up to another level. It's literally a commentary on how horror sucks dick now. Like that's the whole thing. Is it's if there's any point to this movie, it is my like contempt for horror, like for modern horror. And it's like, look at what Hollywood has done to you, and we've beaten audiences into just like these flash moments. They just want these base moments and nothing more. So we're playing with that idea.
Well, horror now has become people trying to do elevated horror and failing at it.
What a figure drawing. Yeah. You see that shit like, this week where there's like a meme going around now, like Fangoria people and shit, I think we're sharing it, where it's like, we need to cut out the horror movies where the monster is just the embodiment of someone's trauma or grief. And I was like, yeah, because that's been horror for 10 years now.
Yeah. I don't follow any. I don't really follow anyone that's related to Fangoria or anything like that, so I'm completely unaware. But
even you have to mute them to not see them if you talk about horror at all. Like, I mean, that's impressive fucking branding that Twitter fucking throws them on your timeline as soon as you talk about a horror movie. But yeah. I just wanted to do something that, like, if I could achieve half of the discomfort that Texas Chainsaw Massacre's original did in that time, like, if we could have this movie come out, and I guess it, I don't want it to bomb financially, but if it made its money back, and then critically everybody was like, this is the most disgusting piece of shit I've ever seen, I'd be like, success.
Yeah,
mission accomplished. Cool. Like, put my glasses on. Yeah,
might be the only movie I ever made, but I'm glad you're.
Yeah, and I want people to see the movie and then see a picture of me and be like, yeah, that's the dude that wrote that movie.
Listen, I'm looking at, because I wanted to make sure that I had something to back my statement about modern horror being like bad, and after going through a list of like the popular 2010s horror movies. Yeah, you got The Witch, which I like. I like The Witch.
That's an A24, right?
Yeah, but it is elevated horror. So
before I could even say, you ask 9 out of 10 people these days what their favorite horror movie is, it's gonna be an A24 movie because everybody is evidently 20 years old now.
Yeah. Well, you have Us and Hereditary. I think those two are also A24, aren't they? Or is Us something else?
I don't remember if Us is. I thought Get Out was, but you could be right, and I could have.
Oh, it's Blumhouse. No, I think it's Blumhouse.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah, it's Blumhouse.
Fucking hacks. Then you have Don't Breathe.
Well, that's
Sinister.
Blumhouse is kind of like the middle. There's like Cinestate on the right, Fangoria on the left, and Blumhouse is like center left.
It's just shitty.
But
I'm so because I thought that they started really well with the movies that they started putting out at first, and then it just became just
whoa. A24
whatever.
did
What
Spring Breakers, which is evidently an underrated or an underappreciated hit, I hear from a lot of people, but I have never seen it.
I saw it and I didn't care for it. I'm not a huge Harmony Korine person. Like
Me
I
neither.
get it. I get it. You're an indie filmmaker and you're kind of quirky and
Well, he
whatever.
always came across to me like a guy who didn't actually get high. Like
But
it
pretends
literally,
to be.
it feels like a character to me. Yeah, and I'm like, it's just because I grew up with a lot of dudes like him in high school that were like, "Isn't it cool to do heroin?" And it was like, "Yeah, I guess you retard." Like,
I was watching Eyes Wide Shut last night, and it was so funny before weed culture, I guess, was a thing. That I guess Kubrick thought that their high acting was how people that smoke weed act like. And it's like, why is she's getting up? They're having a fight and they're both supposed to be stoned. I've never seen that in my life.
yeah,
You know, the
literally
only
be
person
like,
that I've seen
"Go away."
the only person that I've seen get angry on weed is Jerry, but it's Jerry, so it makes sense. But yesterday, like, there's even a line where he says, "Okay, give me that weed. You're getting a little upset." And it's like, when has that in the history of weed ever happened? Where you smoke a little bit and you're like, "Yeah, I'm ready to have a fight with my husband." It's like that. That
Yeah,
doesn't.
time
No,
to whoop that ass.
you either get sad or you're just high and happy or like in the moment or whatever. And it was so funny to me that someone like Kubrick, who's so meticulous about everything, I mean, I don't know if he did drugs, but if that movie's made by anyone else and you see that scene, it's like, oh yeah, this director has no idea or never been around people that smoke weed, because this is not like they're acting drunk, not high.
I think I've either seen that a while ago when it came out, or I saw the trailer. I just looked it up on Google, and I've definitely, I know I saw the poster, but I'm pretty sure I saw this a while ago. I remember it having like really good kind of like the old, I mean, like the fake snuff films, like Guinea Pig and stuff like that. Where it's like that kind of gore where like they're trying to make it look almost like you just found some serial killer's like murder
Mm.
tapes. Uh, but yeah, that's actually a pretty cool one and super low budget from what I remember. I'm pretty sure I did see that. There's a
What
bunch of
is
other.
headless one?
Yeah, it's like this slasher flick with a dude in a skull mask.
Okay,
Uh,
I'll check it out.
what is the other one I was thinking of? Fuck, just
Keep
completely
going.
blanked out on it. Sorry.
I'm gonna get water. Give me 1 second.
Lost my train of thought. Yeah, A24 is just like, it's cool. They do some good movies, but that's not my like go to. Like I just spent the last couple of weeks listening to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre commentaries over and over again. Oh, excuse me. Um, like every single one of the commentaries they had, the Toby Hooper one is probably the best one on that Steelbook version. I think that's from like Best Buy or something. Uh, but yeah, there's lots of good tidbits in there, and I just been studying the film and other horror movies that I really like. My cat waking up. Uh, there's not a lot of modern stuff that I've seen that's like something I'm really thrilled about, or even like I miss watching horror movies, and literally like you watch a horror movie and I'm like, I immediately want to go out and make my own and like start writing it. Like I miss seeing movies like that are like, fuck, like I need to do this. That's why I completely fell out of it. And like I was talking to Jake the other night, I used to do little short films and shit with my cousin when I was a kid, and I just sort of fell out of it because it was like, movies will never be accomplishable. Like that's such a crazy thing. You can't afford to do that. And I was like, I know comics, I can write on my own. And at the time I could draw on my own before I fucked my hands up. But you know,
No,
like
what do you use now?
I'm even
What do you mean?
getting back into drawing. I fucked my hands up in that car accident. Like my art has never been the same. Like,
Oh yeah.
I could literally like show you old notebooks and like show you my shit after the accident. And it's like, my hands shake no matter what. That's why I told Lores, I was like, it's going to take me a bit to sculpt this shit for what you guys need for the movie, but I'm going to do it to the best of my ability and I can still do it. It's just, it takes me longer, or there's a lot more cleanup work and stuff like that. Like if I were to do like an actual comic nowadays, I could maybe pencil it on my own, but I'd probably need to find an inker. It's just one of those things where I'm like, I don't have a steady enough hand. I was in the middle of like learning how to tattoo, and that would have probably been my day job if I wasn't so fucking shaky now. Like punching through a fucking windshield from the inside is not good on the hands.
Oh, that story. Yeah, I remember that story you told.
Yeah. Like permanent.
Well,
fucking...
at least you have a reason. I have a shaky pulse, and I don't have a reason for it. It's just
it doesn't help that I smoke and stuff, but it's like I'm like clearly in the last 6 months, I'm like very sure I have arthritis. Haven't gone to the doctor for it yet, but I just have like wild pain in both of my hands. Like halfway through the day, every day, my hands start to hurt. And I'm just like, this is just it now. Like 4 or 5 years after my accident, I got fucking old man hands now.
Fuck.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, I'm trying to cut back on smoking and quit cigarettes altogether. It's an ongoing process, but that'll hopefully help out with all that shit, especially when I'm getting back into sculpting and painting and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Beth just got me fucking a bunch of giant canvases because I was starting to paint again, and she was like, heard me talking about how I wanted to do some bigger stuff, so she went out and got me 3 foot by 4 foot canvases.
So, I saw the picture you posted.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna be painting some. I was like, I can literally paint like bust portraits that are 1-to-1 scale. Like,
yeah, with that size.
Yeah, they're almost as tall as her. It's fucking insane.
For figure drawing, I have that movie. I haven't seen it yet. That Last Night in Soho. That Edgar.
Oh
Wright.
Yeah, that's the new Edward Wright. Yeah. Edgar Wright.
I'm a big fan, but I haven't. Well, I was a big fan. I don't know if I would say that now, because Baby Driver was alright. I didn't really care much for it, but I'm a huge fan of Spaced and the original trilogy of Cornetto. Even Scott Pilgrim, I liked, even though he did create like a subculture of women that thought they were more interesting.
Scott Pilgrim is the fucking was the first brick on this dark fucking path to where we are now.
Yeah, the Ramona Flowers thing.
Yeah, he started the fucking blue hair regime. Undershaves and women being fucking mean girls well into like their 40s. It's like, goddamn women. Yeah. You know, people have to fucking be around you.
Yeah.
Like, that's my only thing. It's like, hey guys, I don't care what you're about. Just fucking remember, people need to like exist around you.
Yeah.
Just try not to be unbearable.
Likable, but just your pretty face doesn't make you likable. You mentioned Red Room, and I just popped in my head. Have you checked that Ed Biscore comic?
No, I haven't yet. Ed actually is like my editor knows Ed, Kayla. Fucking, and Ed actually gave us an awesome shout out on his show a really long time ago for Hellseekers with the original artist. We did a 0 issue for it, and Kayla sent him a copy of it for one of their mail days, and he opened it up, and literally right before COVID fucking took off, it was like late 2019, I think, into 2020. Someone has the clip somewhere, but he pulls it out, looks through it, and he goes, holy crap. He's like, this is one of the gnarliest looking comics I've ever seen. And he goes, 2020 is year of the Hell Seekers, and then boom, like 2 weeks later, COVID fucking takes off, dude. Completely cripples the book. It was like 2020 is the year of fucking nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
It's like
2020 is the year of rich people getting richer and everyone else getting fucked.
Me and the artist were just making jokes behind the scenes, like, yeah, we fucking ended the world. God damn it, dude.
He jinxed it at Piskor's fault.
Yeah, but Piskor's great. I haven't checked out Red Rooms yet, and the whole reason was I was already working on this project.
You don't want to get
it's very in line with the same kind of stuff. And I was already on this from, like, I had told you, this was an idea I had back in high school from my love of a bunch of different shit, like 8mm with Nicolas Cage, which is why it would be like a full circle moment to get him for the other side now. Like, he played the detective in the original, the private investigator, and then in this he'd get to play like fully demented part of the underworld. And Red Rooms is literally just like it's like a folklore or legend now. It's like a dark web myth. They do exist in a sense, but they're not necessarily like a red bathed room. It just refers to the acts that go on in them.
Yeah. It's very, very graphic. I think I've read the first one, and it's cool. It's got, like, I really like his art.
Oh,
so just that, like, it's
him and Rob do like legit like outlaw stuff. Like, they were a huge inspiration for City of Rot. We were like, we want to do something that's literally a comic where you can read it and know, maybe not our politics, but you know that we absolutely do not give a fuck what people think about us. Like, and that's my mentality with everything by the end of it. It was like, I'm going to do what I want to do no matter what. And if you want to fucking give me the money to do that, awesome. I will.
And if not, then you'll figure out a way to do it yourself.
Yeah, I will be there and do whatever you ask of me to the best of my ability. But yeah, Red Room is like, after I'm wrapped up on this script, that'll probably be one of the first things I read. Kayla had actually said she every once in a while I'll hit her up because she works in shops, and I'll be like, yo, grab this for me. So I'm pretty sure that's one of the ones I asked her to grab. So I'm sure I've got a stack of comics coming from her soon. She's fucking rad like that because she pays like cost for them.
Okay.
Yeah. We do like events and stuff with them too. So
what's negative XP? I'm not familiar with that at all. Jake Twister. I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Twister? Yeah, you nailed it.
said I see Hans is a negative XP listener. I don't even know what that is. So no, sorry.
I was like, that sounds really familiar, but I'm like, I couldn't tell you. I
mostly listen to hip hop, which you would never guess by looking at me, but I like a lot of like old school shit and a lot of independent underground hip hop stuff.
Yeah.
Haven't really been into rock for a while. I just got tired of, like, I guess everyone goes through phases of listening to music, but a lot of the stuff that I used to listen to, I'm kind of embarrassed by. So I just keep like changing,
Oh, that's just part of life.
Like. Mm-hmm.
You'll be embarrassed about something in fucking 2 years that you're doing today. Like,
I saw there's this band that does like,
Scott Pilgrim. Oh, evidently we had a take that is not original or new.
All right. Well,
who knew other men had caught on to the fact that Scott Pilgrim started the Whimcell generation?
Yeah. I lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was saying.
Sorry.
But yeah.
Being embarrassed about music you like and how you mostly
listen to yeah. Because what I like doing at the end of the year is just go to music websites and see what their list of best albums are, to see what I missed out on and see if I can discover anything new. And there's a screamo, like hardcore screamo band. And I was like, oh, I can't believe people are still making shit like this. And then I listened to it and I was like, if I was 18, like I would really be into this. But now I feel kind of cringe listening to something that sounds like 20 years ago.
That's the kind of shit my band played back in the day, and that was I think I was going on 22 when that's almost 10 years now. Like early on in me and Beth dating, I was still doing vocals in what like most people would call a screamo band, but we were more like
Did you have the hair?
no, we were more like a tech metal
Okay.
hardcore band. I think I had a really long fucking for most of it I had the pony mullet, which I've talked about on here, where my hair's like almost fucking 2 feet long now. It's really curly, but
Okay.
like I used to get like blasted drunk. My buddy's girlfriend would straighten my hair so it was like almost down to my ass, and I just completely shaved the sides and like would just like slick the top up with my own sweat as we played through the show, and I looked like a complete
Right.
asshole. Like we
Like a Native
we
American.
were all big fans of bands like Every Time I Die, like heavier shit. We played with the Acacia Strain, which was another band that like we were all big fans of. Open for a lot of different stuff like that. Both of our guitarists were big Between the Buried and Me guys. Like brutal shit all over the spectrum, from like really technical, like music savvy stuff, all the way to like the kids with spiky Final Fantasy hair, skinny jeans, doing coordinated dancing on stage while they chug for breakdowns. I'm guilty. I'm guilty of all of it. Like I said, you'll be embarrassed of something in 5 years.
Yeah,
but like
I always hated that shit. Even when I would go to the shows to listen to the music, I would hate everyone that was like dancing and all that shit.
I can enjoy the music, and we would just always laugh. Like we were the band that was like, I was a horrible drug addict back in the day when I was doing vocals for the band. So it's like two of the guys in the band were like straight edge. I'm drinking a fucking handle of Jack Daniels on stage. Like if I could smoke a cigarette on stage, I would, depending on the venue we were in. I was like a complete fucking savage asshole. I don't know how I had friends. I don't know how I was allowed to be in a band and be the front man of it. And it was like, I say screamo because like we would get called that all the time just because we would play shows with bands like that did all the coordinated dancing and stuff. And we were all like 4 years older than everyone, at least. Like you were lucky if these bands were 18 years old, and we could all like go drink at the bar before and after our set and get way rowdier, and we were making music about way more different shit than like my girlfriend left me and now I'm gonna scream about it.
Right. Why did you go? Blood Brothers, who what's his name?
Oh, that's my old roommate's like favorite band.
I love that. I love weird shit like that. I love like not genderless, genre-less music where it's just like a bunch of shit mixed that doesn't sound like anything else.
That's why like Every Time I Die is one of my favorite bands. Is they stick. I mean, they're still like a rock band if you strip it down to everything. But you can go like, especially their newer stuff. Like every album, they're trying to change up their sound and do something different. The new one that's like just came out or is coming out right now, they've been releasing singles off of it. Keith Buckley's like singing way more. And they're actually all fucking hilarious. Like they had a deal signed with Comedy Central for a fucking comedy show. Yeah, like
one of them is a wrestler, right?
Yeah, and Andy's on like AEW now, dude. Andy's one of the nicest dudes in the world, cool as fuck. Like if you ever get the chance to meet those guys, they're all rad. Like I tried to get tickets to fucking their Christmas show this year because it was fucking 2 days this year. They just dropped a telethon on YouTube for free to watch that has like a bunch of guest artists on it and stuff. And they just recorded a live performance in like a warehouse that they rented, and it's got like a bunch of skits. They bought a bunch of fucking cameos of like Gilbert Gottfried and wrote dumb fucking like Tim and Eric style skits with it. It's just stupid shit, but it's like they threw it together in another lockdown for the holiday, basically.
Right. Yeah, like bands like the Locusts. I don't know if you're from.
Was it that different singing about your boyfriend that left you? Yeah, it's wicked different.
Are you familiar with the Locusts?
I don't think so.
So they're a California band where they would dress up in like bug suits, which was just like a hood, like a full hood, and like big eyes. And the music, like the songs are like, well, it used to be. I think the last album they released does actually have real length songs, but my favorite ones are just like 30-40 seconds songs, and it's just noise. It's just like They have keyboard. It's keyboard, space, guitar, and drums. I think that's it. And it's just wild. So you can listen to the whole 20 songs album in like 15 minutes or something.
Yeah,
And
it's like listening to a
heavy,
heavy low album.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not familiar with them.
Oh man, but, you're not. Dude, that is
no.
wicked old. Some Ivy League grindcore.
Okay.
I'm fucking your secretary, dude. If you like really fucking noisy metal shit, man, I don't think I could put heavy low on here without everybody probably leaving. But yeah, check it out.
I'd leave probably.
Was it sharing your crafts already? Yeah, man, really takes me back.
Yeah, so like weird shit like that weird shit like that doesn't sound like other stuff is what I'm into. Like one of my favorite bands is called Bear versus Shark. They're from Michigan, I think. And that was kind of like a post-rocky thing, but
I feel like we passed up a chance to open for them at the Webster a while back.
The only time I've been to New York was because they after 10 years that they broke up, they reunited, and I was like, I have to go see them. And it was like the sweatiest show I've ever been to because
that sounds really familiar, but I've never listened to them, and I'm like, there's so many, like we used to get offered shows all the time. I was just talking about it with one of the guys today, and there's like so much shit we turned down that I'm just like, damn man, we really should have just done more of these shows.
Right.
I mean, it barely made sense that it only made sense that we were with Screamo bands because I was screaming most of the time, but it was because we were such a heavy, weird, experimental band. I wrote a version of the songs where it was just me singing, and it never felt right. Like everything, our drummer was very clearly like a metal drummer and like just brought up the pace of everything. But that dude also got into heroin right before we went into the studio to record our first album. So we have nothing recorded to show for it.
I was going to ask, if you had anything.
Oh man, I wish. I actually was just talking to him this morning about, I know someone in the band has like scratch tracks of all the instrumentals, but nothing with me on it. And then he has all of the, he has the tracks of his band before he joined our band, which was this band called The Thing at the Top of the Stairs. Terrible fucking crazy long name. And they were like a really pretty cookie cutter, like screamo hardcore band, like everything we were just talking about with breakdowns and like chugs and stuff. But then their lead guitarist was like really fucking good, like classically trained guitarist. So he wrote insane leads that had like no business being in a band like that. Like he was way better than everybody in the band. And then he was also a fucking amazing singer. Like can literally hit like Freddie Mercury notes and is just like insane. And he just used it to do like Scene Kid screamo, but he was like an amazing songwriter, an amazing lyricist. Like I hit him up this morning, was like, hey, can you send me those old tracks, because I don't have any of them. And what happened was like how I linked up with them was their screamer left the band. Basically that guitarist did all of the like singing and all the lead guitar, and then they had two guitarist and a bassist who did like all the low end, like all that chugging and shit, filled out the rhythm section. And then they had like their lead vocalist was this little dude who did like tons of ecstasy all the time and was like always going to raves and shit, and just like they could not get him to show up to practice anymore. He was just like rolled out of his mind all the time. Awesome screamer, and like I really like at the age at the time too, fucking loved the band. Like that's how I originally linked up with them. It was just like, holy shit, these guys live like a couple towns away from me. Like linked up with them and everything, and then they were like, our vocalist quit the band to go just like be a rave kid. Like he's a party monster now. And I was like, oh, I know all your guys' songs, and like it's in my range. And I went and did a couple of practices with them without the lead guitarist, because he was like going to check out colleges at the time, and came in and literally like they started up the first song, and it was like I was ready to go, and they were like, holy fuck, this is awesome. And I looked up today, I was like, I wanted to see if they had ever put any of it up on the website. It was all on, they were like, it's so old, it's on MySpace. You can still go back and look them up on there. But the music, I don't even think you can listen to it anymore because like the way MySpace was built, the music system just doesn't work anymore, I guess. So anything
it was always kind of shitty anyway, like their playlists were always kind of shitty.
I guess there's a new system so you can listen to music, but anything that was uploaded before like 2010, I think, is like basically lost to the void. And their bassist is the one that has like all the masters of everything, and he is like a real person now. But somewhere out there are recordings of me like fucking balls to the wall on this stuff. They had a great song that like the like lead guitarist kid who basically wrote like a lot of the lyrics with the original Screamer. They wrote a song about Donnie Darko. One of the songs was literally a song about their vocalist getting arrested for weed and having to explain it to his parents. But you would never know because like this dude was on so many drugs, he would basically give you a bunch of lyrics and be like, yeah, this is the song. It was like a bunch of fucking far out abstract shit that sounded great with the melodies and stuff that they would write together. And then he would tell you what it was about, and you'd have to be like, sure, dude.
Okay, yeah.
There's like one line in the song that maybe correlates with what you just told me. The Donnie Darko one, you listen to it and you're like, oh yeah, you can tell once someone's like, this song's about Donnie Darko, you're like, oh yeah, but it's like smartly written to where if no one ever said anything to you, you're like, oh, this is just a metal song. And it's one of the songs where there's way less singing on it and he was just like shredding on guitar. It's this kid Pete Quinn who went on to just be like a theater actor. I don't know what the fuck he's doing now.
That was always awkward to me when they would get just a screamer because for whatever reason, every band that had a screamer, as they got older, they started using them less, at least from bands that I would listen to at the time.
Yeah.
So a band like Underoath, you know, who started with only screams and just a little bit.
Spencer and Underoath started singing all the time.
Yeah, just a little bit of, and like the first. Well, the album with like the new lineup after the original guy left, the original singer, he sings in maybe 2 songs, I think, and then the next one,
Dallas, in the next, like the original guy who went on to Maylene and the Sons of Disaster.
That band's great, by the way.
Oh, fuck yeah.
The Chariot too?
Did he go on to the Chariot? Is that him?
That's so.
I really like the Chariot too. Fucking, I should know that. I've seen them a bunch. We got bumped off of a show with them in Every Time I Die and Code Orange Kids when they were still Code Orange Kids. We all ended up still going to it, but that was like the biggest letdown of being a band back in the day was we were on that. We got bumped off of it for a bigger band. I can't even remember who the band was either.
Dallas Taylor. No, he didn't.
It's a different dude.
Yeah, it was.
I was gonna say, I can't remember what the fuck they do look similar though. The Chariot's was awesome.
Yeah,
he started that,
but then he like Spencer became bigger because he was like a cute kid in the band, right? So he started becoming more popular. So the next album, he sings more, and then you just have the screamer just kind of standing around while he sings.
Well, no, Spencer's the screamer. That's what I mean. Was the screamer started singing a bunch?
Wait,
you're talking about Aaron, the drummer who also sings. Aaron Gillespie or something like Gillespie or Gillespie. Take it easy, Jake. Sorry, man. Take it easy. Figure drawing.
You saw that change, and they didn't really.
So Aaron started a side project that like every chick I knew was madly in love with because, like you were saying, he's like they thought he was the cute ginger one, and he does actually have a great range. But the other band he started, he's like Southern religious guy, and he
Almost, I think, or something.
Yeah,
like that?
the Almost, and he was way less quiet about his religious leanings in the Almost than they are in Under Oath, because Under Oath is a Christian band too.
Yeah.
Love Under Oath too. They were one of our biggest inspirations. The band when I came into it was literally my band's name was Built by Machines, which is literally a fucking Under Oath song. Like,
okay.
I can't stress how much they were a huge inspiration on the whole band even before I was involved. And then I came in and they used to joke that I liked Under Oath because the screamer's name was Spencer. And I was like, you guys are retarded. It was literally because they were one of the few bands where it's like, yeah, they do the singing and the screaming stuff, but it's not just chugging and stuff. Like between the Sound of Separation and shit like that, The Great Divide, like I still listen to those albums to this day.
I think I stopped listening to after let me see.
I think that's
after they're only chasing safety, I stopped. I started like moving away from that genre.
That's like music. Before they even get experimental. That's what I mean is Lost in the Sound of Separation. That's what it is. I said Between the Sound of Separation. Lost in the Sound of Separation, dude. Like, I was just talking about how I need to pick that up on vinyl because I thought we already had it, and I couldn't find it. Like, if you listen to it now after what you remember Under Oath being, it wouldn't even seem like the same band. I don't even think Aaron's the drummer anymore at that point. I think they got the Chariots drummer at that point.
Oh, yeah? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, like, I believe Aaron left at that point, and that's why, like, Spencer started singing way more. I know they had like a weird lineup change, but I think Aaron left the band eventually. Yeah, that album fucking still is an excellent album. Got really fucking weird. And that's where I thought like they were like, there were people like, they're the Led Zeppelin of hardcore. And I was like, I'll fucking take it, dude. Whatever. You guys can say all the dumb shit you want. Like, it's something that's not like chugging and coordinated dancing. Like, it's finally something where it sounds like these people are like thinking and taking more than a day to write the fucking songs they're putting on their albums, and you're like seeing them in the studio actually riffing it out and figuring the shit out like real artists do. Because it's like all that screamo shit was just like who can figure out like the heaviest riff, and that was all it was.
I think I stopped listening to that genre whenever breakdowns became like the norm.
That's what it was. Was like who can write the breakdown that makes people like go the most ape shit, and that's what it became. And it was just like get to the breakdown. And it was like this. Like I remember going to shows and being like, "Yeah, our closer has 4 breakdowns," and it was like, "I hate this band already," and I don't even know the name.
Yeah. It's just like just do the thing. Why do you have to play it off for the fucking retards or dancing?
It was like, yeah, and your breakdowns all have coordinated dancing and shit. You know what we're doing in our breakdowns? Shotgunning beers in the center of the fucking pit.
Yeah.
I'm fucking grabbing kids by their faces and throwing them into the crowd. It's like, we are not the same. Like, it's like, that's basically like what Beth fell in love with was the absolute fucking animal that I was on stage.
Yeah, like worst stage of your life.
Yeah, I make jokes about it all the time. I was like, I was a fucking raging alcoholic, raging drug addict, horrible piece of shit. I've talked about it on here before. We did a fucking charity show where, granted, we sold the most tickets and raised a fuckload of money for this charity, but it was our buddy's girlfriend's event. She booked the whole thing. It's a charity event for a battered woman's shelter. And I got so blackout drunk and out of my mind on drugs, I was calling it the Hoes Need a House 2 show. Because I couldn't remember what it was other than women need money. And literally like one of my buddies has like a video clip of it on their phone somewhere, and I kept making jokes about how like, yeah, of course women need money. They're always asking for money, and like Beth's in the crowd at this show, like before we're dating, and Beth's like, this is the guy I love.
That's the piece of shit I'm gonna fall in love with.
It was like I got my shit together, but it was like I was always a wild man and would just say dumb shit to make people laugh at everything. That's what I was like. There was a point in time where if I didn't meet Beth, I was like ready to move up to New York, and I'm like, I'm just going to do stand-up comedy because I was like hooked on being on stage after the band broke up. And I was like, how can I still do that and get out of it like the similar feeling that I got out of just being on stage? Because in between sets is like you'd have time where the guys were tuning and shit. You like that's how we got a crowd to keep showing up to our shows, was figure out how to entertain people in between those moments where you're setting up for the next song or whatever. And for me, it worked really well to just get really fucked up and turn every filter off in my brain.
Yeah.
Like the first time the Webster main stage in Hartford, that was like the biggest local venue at the time. Like we finally got to play that to a sold out show. And it was because we played this big battle of the bands and absolutely fucking stomped everyone. We sold so much money or so many tickets and made so much money on the show that it was more than any show that had ever like directly booked us, like asking for us by name had ever paid us. Like just because of the cut we made on tickets. And the promoter told us that he like expressly asked us not to tell any of the other bands how much we made because of how much of a difference we made between us and the fucking second highest grossing band that night. We sold like 600 tickets. The capacity of the venue was fucking I think 800 or 1,000 people. It's not like a huge venue, but the main stage will fit all of those people in it very dangerously. And then there's like a second stage that probably fits like 100 people. I think the actual max cap is like 800 at this place, but yeah, we fucking packed the place, made a ton of fucking money because I think they said after like 300 tickets, it went from making $2 a ticket up to $4 a ticket, and then after 500 tickets sold, it was $6 per ticket, and tickets were like I think like $12 or something. So at that point, over 500 tickets sold, you were making half of the ticket price. Right. So it was really good money, and if you do that math, it's we made a couple grand off of that show.
Well, I'm glad it worked out for you because every time, I guess
right when we started making money like that was when we found out our drummer was a dopehead and he got hauled off in the middle of the night to a Christian rehab facility for a year because he kept escaping and relapsing. So it didn't work out in the end. Literally, as soon as we started becoming successful, we were talking to Crimson Management, which you can still look them up. I'm pretty sure they're still a company to this day. They basically, every band that was signing with them was then signing with Rise Records, which was like the premier like screamo, hardcore, metalcore fucking label at the time. So literally we were like on the pipeline for all of that. And this fucking idiot was just like, by the way, I'm on so much heroin. My mom got me abducted in the middle of it. My mom paid to get me abducted by Jesus fucking freaks. It's like, I got nothing, like whatever religion, do your thing. But like, he literally got abducted by like one of the like, oh, this is a cult ones. Like, they come into your house in the middle of the night. Like basically your guardian needs to sign off on it or your significant other. And I think you can legally sign yourself out after 48 hours if you're over 18, but he wasn't at the time. So he got abducted, brought to this facility in like just outside of Boston. And it is just like Jesus 24/7. You're not shooting heroin into your veins anymore. You're shooting
Jesus.
Yeah.
That reminds me of this.
He would break out and I would just get insane phone calls at random hours because he just like ran away to some girlfriend's house. I'm like, how are you fucking making girlfriends? Like, you're at Jesus Dopehead camp.
That reminds me of, I don't know if you're familiar with Nexpo on YouTube. This guy that does long form.
I've heard of him.
Well, he did a video a couple of months ago about this place called the Elan School. And it was pretty much that. They would come at night and kidnap your kids kidnap with your permission. But then it came out that they would have them fight each other. Like they would have them just like go in fights and they would just abuse them and shit. Yeah. But what I was going to say is that I'm glad that being an asshole worked out for you in that sense with the band, because I think the last time when I I guess when I learned that maybe being an asshole is not funny for everyone, like you have to be in the right audience, was when I was in film school, and I would always just say shit that I didn't believe to trigger them because they were very normal, right?
Yeah.
So I remember one day we were talking about some Tom Hanks movie or whatever. And I was like, am I the only one that thinks he kind of sucks? Like, he's not very good. Like, he's like, name one good Tom Hanks movie. And the fucking outrage in that group, I was just like loving it. But then I realized that the reason why no one wanted to hang out with me was because I was just an asshole. I would just say shit to make myself laugh, you know?
Yeah, that was my whole thing, was like super opinionated, didn't know how to keep my mouth shut ever. And like you said, like almost everything was like I was trolling in real life, basically, like just to get a rise out of people. And I'm like, I was definitely aware to an extent that I was a dickhead, but learning to be a better person. But I was just also fucking young, like I was a fucking idiot.
Well, I was 27, so I wasn't that young, but I was still an idiot.
But like I like, that's like why I like John Carpenter so much. I read old shit about him, and it's like, yeah, he like was friendly with people in college and stuff, but he didn't really get along with a lot of people. That's why his core little group, that like why Nick Castle ended up as the Shape, is there was like only a couple of dudes that he really like lined up with, and like a lot of people weren't fucking smokers at the school. Like he was like kind of an outcast because he was a chain smoker. I remember reading that being like, that's fucking wacky. Like he was like the weird edgy guy, which is like, you look back at John Carpenter and like old pictures of him when he was younger, and he doesn't look like he stands out in the 70s at all. Seems like a pretty regular fucking dude. And he was like against the grain edgelord and shit like that. I'm like, nowadays it's not hard to be like a John Milius or a John Carpenter type. Like you fucking like John Carpenter, if like a lot of the shit he said years ago, he said now, he would probably get a bunch of shit for it. He's still pretty outspoken, but now he's just like, I cash my check.
Yeah, which is smart.
But really, he would straight up just be like, fuck you back in the day, and he calls out people in old interviews all the time. Like, there's great interviews from the 90s where he doesn't give a shit. He's like, these people gave me a fucked up deal, and it was this exact producer, and it's like, he doesn't care about burning a bridge or ruining his career. And that's real integrity.
That's better than fucking Alan Moore, who's still complaining about things while getting money for it, you know?
Yeah.
It's just
I
like
keep having to like push my mustache out of my mouth, and it looks like I'm high on coke. I'm like, oh, grinding my teeth. Yeah, man. It's some wacky stuff. Elin hosted shaming rings by beating up the low-level attendees.
Yeah, that's the
low-level attendees. You guys are the shittiest of the shit. Y'all need to level up or get in the fucking ring.
Yeah. It's cool. I like his videos. They're usually like about an hour long, but
yeah, Assholes Anonymous. What's up, Gamescape?
Really good at editing and shit. So they're very.
Yeah, I've seen some of his stuff. He keeps getting mentioned on a bunch of different channels too. Like I feel like I went from not hearing about him anywhere to all over the place. Because I definitely watched one of his other videos. He does like deep dives on like dark web conspiracies and shit too, I think.
Yeah, he has a series that's called Disturbed. What's it called? Disturbed something of the internet, and he just searches for weird disturbed things from around the internet. It's a series, and it's just he just finds like, or I guess, finds weird videos of like unexplained shit or like creepy shit online. That's how I got in, and then I started looking at these other more, I guess, original content. It's pretty good, yeah.
Oh hell yeah! Wolfjaw Scrap suggested some Power Trip on my Twitter. Power Trip is fucking metal as fuck. I believe their vocalist died like last year or the year before, just like abruptly. Which is insane. Actually, speaking of Power Trip, when you initially had told me about Shaner, and I didn't realize, like, the name didn't ring any bells, and I had already seen this dude on like a bunch of other podcasts and stuff before, and I was like, doesn't ring a bell at all. I looked him up and I was like, whoa, it's like Kevin drew him into existence. He looks just like the fucking concept art. This is insane. And then I looked him up on YouTube, and it literally was like popping up with videos I had watched before. And the first video I clicked on, I think he was on like Legion of Skanks or something like that. And he's wearing a Power Trip shirt. And I was like, is this dude from fucking Texas too? Like, this is insane.
Yeah, that's when you first showed me that, I was like, oh, he's, with the mustache, even the hair is the same.
Yeah,
he's also not like a big guy too, so he works.
Yeah, no, works perfectly, especially if we can cast a couple of bigger people for a lot of the characters. It's like scaling it for framing and like shot composition is gonna be really easy. And he's in shape. He's into like pro wrestling and stuff too, and I think he did a little bit of it for a brief period. Cool. Yeah, like he was cool with like if he had to do some of his own stunt work and everything, so we can have him like in full frame getting hit with rubber weapons and stuff. Like he's not gonna bitch and moan about it. I was like, this is like the perfect outcome.
It's fucking weird how that works out, right? Because like he could just be a guy that kind of looks like the character, but then everything else is just lined up after it. We're just like, oh, it seems like this role was like unconsciously created for this guy.
Yeah, it's like you would think I was familiar with him because like it was almost instantly like, man, Hans, you're like the most unintentional awesome casting director ever. Like, you're just like, hey, check this guy out, and I was like, holy fuck. like did you tell him to shave like that or something? What's going on? Like, it's fucking insane. And it was the weirdest thing hitting him up. I was like, so this is going to seem like I'm like a stalker or something, but I promise I'm like barely familiar with your work. Like, but I've seen some of your stuff before. I started looking it up, and you're kind of like perfect for what I'm working on. Yeah, like this project, it's a little weird. I can't say much about it right now, but it's like, if you're interested, we will send you the full script when it's ready. And I gave him a little elevator pitch of like sort of what to expect and things similar to just like give him sort of a set bar to understand. Like, I'm not going like full Serbian film. They're not like banging kids or anything crazy.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's just like, I have so much I can do with the amount of time we have, and I want this to actually maybe see theaters. Like,
that would be awesome, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, I'm still not shying away. I mean, the first draft, it opened on essentially what is a mass shooting, and that did not get cut.
Like, do you have it? Do you have it ready? You should send it to me.
It's almost done. I basically, like I said, I outlined the whole thing and then wrote all the scenes, and I'm sort of going back through it, making sure it all makes sense and is in order.
Filling up the gaps, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of like outlined it out of order. I would come up with things and then be like, oh, because like final draft is so fucking great. You can just kind of like drag and drop once you have things written and move scenes around. So that's sort of what I'm in. And then I'm punching in details and things. Like there was one scene that was literally just like, write this kill. Like I wrote like the whole intro to this character showing up, because once the ball starts rolling, it's these interactions either between Danielson and the director, or Danielson and one of these psychopaths, or kind of like him creeping through what's essentially like a backlot. These point A to point B moments that are either there to ratchet up suspense or tension, or to sort of drive the narrative forward and give you a little bit more of what's going on. That's a lot of the interaction between him and the director. Early on, it's literally like he's working with a director, and the director is sort of just trying to convince him to follow the rules and stay in line, and everything will go a lot quicker, sort of thing. He has a better chance of surviving if he sticks to the script, essentially.
Right.
And it devolves from there as things get more and more chaotic. And there's essentially like the second act is like the going off script part of the movie. where it gets like real wild. And
It's wild.
yeah, you find basically like you see that there's like a groundwork and a plan, almost like these guys had a shot list and everything, and they like a plan for their production, and now their star is being difficult talent is essentially what's going on, and their star is fucking Danielson. And he's gone completely off script, isn't listening anymore, but they're making a murder porno, and he starts popping up all over the place. And it's this sort of, he starts out reluctant because he is still like a cop, and like has like firm beliefs and an understanding of justice and stuff like that. So early on, when he doesn't really fully understand the gravity of the situation, he's not just like whip out a gun and start blasting everybody he comes across. So he eases into it, but as he's going off script, it's also escalating into the like him reverting back into ways from before he was a cop, and getting to those base urges, almost showing you that any one of these people could have been maybe a normal person a couple productions back, and now they're one of these masked psychopaths in the movie, where like Danielson is kind of like warming up to being the star of this movie now. And that's not like he's like, you know, got lines of dialogue where he's like, I love murdering. Like, it's like that has to come through in the performance and stuff like that. And that's what I mean is the difference between like what I like and what I'm enjoying in modern horror and what I don't like is a lot of it is just too on the nose. And it's like in the third act, there's always this like villain that explains why they're a villain for the vast majority of the audience that couldn't read the subtext. I don't like that. I don't want that in mine. So it's like a lot of this is just demented shit going on, but you'll see things unravel, and there are points to it, but it's not like I'm making some big social commentary at the end of it. I'm still just trying to have fun and make something
fun and entertaining, and
people still want to go back to in a couple of years because it's like, holy fuck, how did they do this horror effect? Like, that's why I'm like, I really want to do like as much practical as possible. A studio on board, we can get an armorer and actually be shooting dummy heads with shotgun shells and stuff like that.
Alec Baldwin it up.
Who knows now with Alec Baldwin stuff? Yeah, that might be completely out of the question but if it's shot in Texas is a little more lenient. We could go do a guerrilla shoot at a shooting range somewhere and just dress it up with, you know, studio flats to make it look like it's in the same building or whatever, and just shoot close-ups of fucking dummy heads exploding and stuff, but get those good scanner shots where they're actually exploding and filled with chicken meat or whatever. Like, that's the kind of stuff I want, where people see it and they're like, holy fuck. And like, there's that 10% of your crowd that's literally physically not going to be able to handle the gore in your movie. And I don't mean like hostile, like it's just like static camera watching a guy get his Achilles tendon cut and like torture porn like that. Like, I still want it to be like fun, like The Thing and stuff like that, where the gore still pushes the narrative forward, and like
it's not just a 2-minute scene of a guy getting tortured.
Yeah, and now we're gonna cut your penis off for 8 minutes.
Yeah,
we're
gonna slice it. We're gonna slice it with a razor. We're gonna
there might be a
sprinkle
psychopath.
some lemon juice on it.
Yeah, there might be a psychopath with like a passing line about that or something like that. Like the dominatrix chicks are like obviously turbo horny, and there's like I think I sent you that excerpt a while ago of like right before one of them dies. She says some really like gnarly shit, but it's because they do like snuff film stuff, they do really grimy porno stuff, they mix it together, and that's one of those bits where throughout it's sprinkled with all this stuff that's supposed to show you that like this isn't just a one-off production that they do. There's a bigger scope.
It's familiar
to this.
For them.
Yeah,
it's like
and you're just seeing like pinhole windows of the stuff they do. And so when it gets down to this one particular chick dying, she knows she's done for, and like they're so committed to the bit and everything that it's just like, all right, make it a fucking good one. don't give me some pussy death. She's like, really fucking bash my brains in sort of thing. Like, and it's fucking absolutely demented if you're that guy in that scenario to be like, holy shit, like I need to kill you so I can get through this night and survive. But now you're also basically begging me and almost getting off on it. Like,
yeah,
and that's like the whole mentality is this like cult-like production where they're willing to do anything to make their art, like to get their project out. And that's where it's, if anything, a social commentary for anything, where I said it's kind of like a commentary on just the overall grossness of Hollywood and how I don't like how the system works. I don't like how it operates. I don't like most of the fucking people in it. It's fucking gross how 9 times out of 10 you have these awesome pieces of work that come together and then you find out all the horrible shit that went into making it. And it's just like, how many people were like, oh, we covered it up though. And it's like, are we that bad? Like, it's like, like you could have still made that great movie, when it's like all the people that made the movie were awesome. And it's just like, you covered up the fucking shitty producer or whatever who paid for the movie. It's like, that movie still would have been great. That guy had nothing to do with making the movie fantastic in the end. Producers were basically money guys that fucking called all the shots back in the day. Like, it's just a fucking a weird world. And now we're in this the counter to that now, where everybody just thinks it makes sense to be like preaching against all of that horrible shit, but like literally like you're staring into a camera preaching about it in your film that's supposed to be entertaining people. And I'm like, just make a fucking documentary.
Yeah.
There's tons of them now. They're doing really well. I've enjoyed some of them. There's a mental health one coming out soon that I think might actually be fairly good. Depends on how they do it, but it piqued my interest. It's on my radar. But like,
yeah, it feels like they're trying to like overcompensate. It's like, I don't need you preaching.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. Just stop doing the thing. Like, I don't even need to know. Just don't fucking do the thing.
See if you can make that point without directly telling it to me in the movie, is my whole. And that's what I try to stress when people ask me about writing now for advice. I'm like, that's the real show don't tell. People think it's like this physical visual thing on screen or in the book. Like when I say show don't tell, they think I mean like, you know, show them your character doing these things, which yes, that is what it means too. You don't be like, oh, and then there was this giant battle, but you can't see it because the artist didn't want to draw it, or you can't see it because we didn't have it in the budget for the film. You want to show them as much as possible, but there's also this like, not the visual show don't tell, but the narrative, the emotional section of that people aren't getting anymore, where you show it in the performance, you show it in the fucking nuance, you don't tell it in the fucking dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah, and also we know you're against it, because why would you be for it?
Yeah.
We don't need you to tell us that.
I'm pretty sure wasn't the new Black Christmas like an anti-rape movie or something like that? It was like anti-rape culture at frats or something like that. I think that's the one that did that.
I honestly have very little memories of that. I saw it. I think we even did an episode on it.
And it's like, yes, of course rape is bad.
Yeah.
We've known for decades that there's a lot of college campuses that have rampant rape problems, and we all know that's bad. What is making a low-budget horror movie doing? Donate that money to some fucking nonprofit that helps campus rape victims, or funding for stopping the epidemic of campus rapes. Like, how about that?
That was another Blumhouse production.
Or make a super fucking good Black Christmas and then donate a portion of the profits of that fucking movie to that kind of shit. It's like,
no, because that's not what they really want to do. Like, they don't want to change anything. They just want to act like they care. You know? And that's it.
Well, it's a hot topic right now. It's the clickbait mentality. It's like, oh, this is what people seem to want to hear about. This is what gets everybody talking. And I said this a couple years ago, like when Trump got elected, it was like, oh, we're in the like every bit of entertainment is gonna be bait now. Whether it's one side or the other, that's just like the new norm now, is like it's not written for someone to enjoy, it's written for someone else to just hate. Like
Right.
it like Disney stuff is almost like made for the audience that doesn't want anything to fucking do with it. Like almost everything is like made for a hate watch now, it seems like. Because I'm like, who the fuck is watching these movies and being like, go girl boss? Like, stop this slasher rapist on campus in this fucking Christmas movie or whatever. I don't even know. I could be mixing up like 3 different movies now, but that's just like that's a testament to all of that. Is like, I can't differentiate these movies at all. Happy Death Day, I actually enjoyed that first one, and they decided to beat that to death. And I think that was a Blumhouse one. It was. It's a chick flick as much as it is a slasher movie, but it was a slasher movie I was able to sit down with my girlfriend. She enjoyed the hell out of it, and it was entertaining. It's not something where I'm like, oh my god, this is the most brilliant original script in the world or anything. It's very much of the time, and I don't think it's going to hold up 10 years from now, but for a Blumhouse movie, it was a fun fucking popcorn movie. And it's very rare that I can throw on a slasher movie and my girlfriend just enjoys it through and through. Like, there's a lot of that shit that just sucks, and I know it does. And you watch it for the kills and the fucking schlockiness of it.
Well, back in the day when you wanted to make a point, you wouldn't spell it out for the audience. It's like, let's hope they get this. And now it's like what's the
original Black Christmas is a fucking is like an anti-abortion movie. Or not anti-abortion, it's like it's dealing with abortion rights. At the beginning of the movie, I don't remember if it's anti or pro-abortion, but it sort of lays out both sides from what I remember without like letting you choose. And it's not even like the B plot. It's just kind of like something happening in the story. At the beginning of the movie, the main chick, her boyfriend is like, I think trying to convince her to get an abortion.
Oh yeah.
He's basically like, I can't have a fucking kid. And it's like, damn, dude, this is some heavy shit for the time. And it's just shot as like it's a very real scene at the beginning. And then it's like, all these bitches are going to get murdered by a guy with jaundice. Like,
well, because it's just a part of who the characters are. Like, the thing that I feel
it's
writers
like, here's some shit she's going through, which is a very real thing for a college-age chick who's promiscuous in college.
Something that writers don't understand now is that you don't have to make the one thing be the character's entire personality. Like, okay, fine, she's against whatever. That could be a thing that exists in her that maybe comes out once in a while or whatever, but it's like a part of this 3-dimensional character where it makes sense that, okay, they have these beliefs, fine. But when you make that their entire personality, it's like, have you ever met a person like this? No. Because everyone has like their normal moments or the moments where they enjoy things that have nothing to do with that. And now, just to push the message across, it's like their entire world is this thing they're against. It's like, that's not how human beings work.
That's the big problem.
That's what you get on Twitter. That's what you get on the internet, maybe, but that's not a human being. Like, I've never met anyone.
Gay representation right now, too. Gay dudes, I feel like, are getting it the worst. Lesbians kind of have a bit of a spectrum right now, but gay dudes.
You can't be gay in a movie. Yeah, unless you're like the gayest guy in the world. That's always like, oh, don't do that, otherwise you have to be. And it's like, why?
You got to be roller skating around in fishnets with a glitter cannon. Like,
and everything is like a dick sucking pun, or like everything is like
every one of my gay friends. I can't think of a single guy that I know that's gay that is like anything like a representation I've seen on film. Like Moonlight won a bunch of awards just because somebody was like, hey, we're gonna write a real gay guy for once.
Hey, let's make a human gay person.
We're gonna write a gay guy that isn't drunk at the club everywhere. Like, it's insane. But that's like I bring up Halloween all the time, but it's like Halloween is such a good prototype for writing for horror because Laurie Strode, she was that classic, like, she's the fucking good girl in the movie, and a lot of people like don't really remember that. like, no, a lot of people don't really talk about how dynamic her character really is, because she's a fairly straightforward written character, and there wasn't a lot in it in the script. It's what fucking Jamie Lee Curtis came up with, but she's the good girl, but she's still like funny and snarky and knows how to be sarcastic with her friends, and isn't just like the wet blanket the whole fucking movie. Like, there's dimension to the character, and throughout all of that, she still never cracks and like goes and bangs a guy. She still sticks to the final girl rules and everything. She still kind of has that. That's what I mean, the dynamics of the character, where there's even more layers, where there's a bit to her where it seems like she is jealous of her friends all being out with their boyfriends and doing cool shit on Halloween night, and she's stuck babysitting. But her character still has this foundation of like responsibility and being the good girl, which is like, you have your base foundation, which is the core of the character and what they always fall back on, and then you build off of that. But now all of that is just the identity, and it's all of these just like checkbox things, and there's no building off of the foundation. It's just, I'm exuberant gay man. I'm the black guy who needs to be in this show now because there needs to be a prominent black character. And it's like, dude, Night of the Living Dead, prominent black character. Everybody likes to say that it was a big boon for racism at the time. Like, George Romero was trying to like make a statement. No, he wasn't. There's literally recorded footage of him saying that was the actor that was available and the guy who did the best read. Had nothing to do with making a statement. And it was like, it lines up and it works great, because then the story takes on this new dynamic layer that George Romero didn't really have. It's more, if anything, probably a commentary on like classism. Like, if anything, it's like poor people are left to fucking rot. And I wonder if we're all doomed if we don't band together with our neighbors, sort of thing.
I wonder
it had nothing to do with race. Sorry.
I wonder if you're good. I wonder if it's all coming from people that are getting hired to make these movies. I don't want to say they're all rich, but a lot of the time they come from very well-off families where they don't interact with human beings that much. When they interact with, let's say, people of color, it's either people that work for them or people that...
These walking city people that somehow avoid meeting people of color. Like, how do you live in New York and you've never interacted with a black guy?
Or just live on the internet? Because, like, a lot of the characters that you see in movies now, it's like a Twitter account. It's like... it's a gay person, so, like, the gayest person in the world.
Yeah.
It's a lesbian, it's like the butchest lesbian in the world. It's like, I'm black, so I'm like a victim, but I'm also like very much against about social justice, but at the same time I'm kind of
caricature, not character.
Yeah,
like that's exactly what it is, and it's like alarming and like uncomfortable if you're a reasonable human being, but it's like, are you gonna bitch and moan about everything or just not watch it? Is like, you hit a point where it's like, that's where I was like, we complained about it for a lot on the channel, and then it was just like, damn, all we're doing is complaining about shit all the time now. We should just start really finding some shit we like and talk about that. Even if we talk about the same stuff over and over again, we can find new shit to appreciate about it, because that's what you do with good art. You find new angles to look at it from. That's why I'm like, it perplexes me that there like isn't more of a drive for that nowadays. Or I just have to assume that like the bar has been lowered so much and that people really think they're like giving it their all these days and doing it to the best of their ability, and that like really it's a testament that the gates are more open than ever, and that like filmmaking has become easier than ever, is that there's so many of these horrible, forgettable movies now. It clearly can't be that hard to fucking make a film and get it distributed in some capacity.
Yeah, because if that's the best of your abilities, then you probably shouldn't be making movies.
Yeah.
Dude,
the Astron 6 dudes make the schlockiest shit in the world and they make their money back. Like, it's just like, it's knowing your audience and like actually putting some effort into it. Yeah, they're making schlock, but they're still composing their shots. They're still writing scripts, drafting those scripts. They still have great audio. the effects are like dated on purpose, but they're done properly. Like they do great miniature work. They do fucking awesome effects work and like foam latex suits and shit. Psycho Gorman had great design work. Yeah, the editor is awesome. They do lots of great stuff. And it's really just that, like, it's the effort you want to put into it, really. And like how much drive you actually have, which is why I'm like, yo, Bonfire Legend, give us some money and I will blow your fucking mind. You will not meet a dude more fucking motivated to make some demented shit that people are gonna fucking talk about. I promise you that.
I hope they're still into making stuff like that, though.
Yeah, let's make something real fucking transgressive and disgusting and uncomfortable.
Because I don't really see a lot of parallels between Cinestate and Bonfire Legend, besides Dallas being the head of it.
It's just like what's been coming down the pipeline, I think. I think it's still in there, man.
I hope so.
Like, I really like Standoff at Sparrow Creek. It's not as heavy. It's not heavy on the like racism concepts like Dragged Across Concrete was, but like that was a really controversial film right out of the gate. Mel Gibson back, Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn got a bunch of shit for being in that. They're both fantastic in it. It's a fucking great script. And yeah, the characters are pretty fucking racist, but like that's the fucking point.
That's what happens. Yeah.
It's showing you this slice of reality in these two piece of shit cops. You're not supposed to think these guys are good people. You see that, again, they're dynamic characters and that there is a very real human good side to them, but they have fears due to their very real perceived realities, and that's what telling a story is. I don't want to hear the same story over and over again and everybody ends up safe at the end. I told you guys, this script, it's not Lovecraftian like it's got monsters in it, but it's Lovecraftian in the base sense that it's like a doomed protagonist. That's the whole idea of a Lovecraft story, is that it never really ends well for anybody. And I always like that because odds are for most people, that's fucking life. It's like you're going to have these great moments peppered throughout existence, but a lot of life is just fucking getting through it, man. And you go out of your way to find those people that make those moments better and stuff like that. But my favorite type of writing is, imagine if there was no way for you to make those moments better, and just every moment was the worst moment you could ever fathom. And then I take a sandbox scenario I can throw myself in, and I run wild with that. And I'm like, if a company like Bonfire Legend is down with something like that and understands that I have a fucking weird but clear-cut vision for what I'm trying to fucking do here, we'll make something fucking gnarly.
Yeah, let's hope so, because this is definitely something that I would be excited about working on.
Yeah, be like, pay me in cartons of cigarettes and whiskey. I don't give a shit at this point. Give us enough money to where everybody can, make good money and come back and do another one with you immediately after.
Right. Yeah.
Because I will. That's why I'm like, dude, sell the script for enough for them to buy us that 16mm camera. I don't give a shit. If you're giving us a good budget for the movie, I would waive any sort of silly script fee. Like, I would take a very low amount of money on the script if it meant we had control of the movie and a decent budget. Because, like I said, I told Low-Res 500,000 would be us going fucking buck wild with it. Because it's like, realistically, the location's the hardest thing to do. And I got to imagine, even if we had $500,000 and we had to spend 20 of that on the location alone, because it's just a warehouse, I was like, I could rent a warehouse for a month, just renting it like I were going to use it for a warehouse for a month and shoot all of that and build all of that in that time and be fine. And I looked around here and it's roughly that price. And Texas is way fucking cheaper than Connecticut, especially for warehouse space. I looked into it. So I'm like, we could get something out there for dirt fucking cheap, build the entire fucking set around all of it. And that would probably cost about 50 grand to do all of that the way I want to do it. Maybe 100 if we're going really over the top. And then just paying talent, paying for like food to feed everybody and everything, put everybody up for however long it takes, and then all the post-production and everything else and the prosthetics and things. It was like, if I had like a good 50 grand for the prosthetics stuff, dude, we'd be going fucking nuts. Anything more than that, that's why I'm like, I budgeted around 500,000. If we got a fucking million to do this movie, dude, fuck.
Shit.
Yeah, it'd be like, we'd be on set like, all right, what else do we do today? Like how else do we kill guys?
Whose head we're gonna blow off now?
Yeah,
I'm next.
what up, Peter Angstrom? But it's really like, that's why I'm gonna fucking finish this script, and I'm writing a little pitch deck up that I'm just going to pack with as much as possible in as few pages as possible to just show him like, this is what I have. You want to get on a fucking call with me? I can show you how fucking passionate I am about it. I can show you the kind of shit I can build on no budget with basically garbage in my house, a step above garbage in my house, and a little bit of glue and a good paint job. It's like, give us a little bit of money and see what we can do. That's what I was saying, dude. If they don't immediately bite on it, me and Lores need to get together and shoot a little short or something, and just I'll do a monster.
Sell the story.
Yeah, drop like $100 or something, and get all of everything that I need to do a really good monster. Show them the short and be like, look, this is what we can do on our own. Like, let's fucking up the ante. I don't give a fuck about directing, the credit or anything. You want to credit it as co-directing with me and him, or he directs it and I'm just sort of fucking the special effects supervisor and writer. I don't give a shit. Like, I know I want to have you dudes involved, and having them paying for it and behind us would be a huge boon. And it would be fucking hilarious for that shit to premiere on Daily Wire for that audience. Holy fuck, dude. Immediately have them be like, Spencer's never allowed to write a movie for us again.
Or you get invited to come on the Ben Shapiro show to talk about it.
I would totally do that. We're going to talk about outstanding violations. If he was just like, I loved it, I'd be like, what the fuck? Yeah, man.
You just have to make that hero Jewish, and that's it.
That would be hilarious. One change.
Yeah.
I get a note
a yarmulke now
from Ben. Yeah, slap a yarmulke on him. I don't know, guys. It makes the movie. It's another Night of the Living Dead movie. You know what? It would have been good if he was a cop, but they made it a Jewish cop, and there's all these added layers now.
Yeah, when they rip his shirt off, he's wearing like a little medal of like the Star of David.
They make him eat bacon.
Yeah. That's the torture that they put him through. Just do things that Jewish people are not.
That's the first step before he realizes he's in a murder porno.
They tattoo him so he can be buried in a Jewish cemetery.
two yarmulkes up. Yeah, man. They tattoo him so he can't be buried in a Jewish cemetery. Oh, man. That's a good one. A deep cut. The normies don't know all these Jewish secrets. Yeah, damn. We've been going for 2.5 hours. I'm gonna call it just because I want to get back to
dude, I gotta
working
go
on
eat.
shit.
I haven't had anything to eat today, so I'm like,
yeah, I was like, I gotta eat some lunch.
Big boy
now,
needs
too.
food.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on and hanging out as always, dude. It's fucking always great to talk to you. And dudes, we will see you later.